Soon the two arrived at the brigade headquarters. The brigade commander sat down at the table and looked at Fu Qingli. Sit. Fu Qingli found a seat and sat down. Seeing her seated, the brigade commander spoke. Can you use an abacus? Fu Qingli wondered why he asked such a question, but she replied anyway. Yes, I can. Satisfied upon hearing this, the brigade commander nodded. I wonder if you would be interested in taking over as the village accountant, he said. Fu Qingli pointed at her own nose. Me? Be the accountant. That's right, the brigade commander confirmed. Fu Qingli blinked in disbelief. Why me? The previous accountant went back to the city, so the position has been vacant. I want you to take the job. But I've only been here 3 days. Wouldn't that be inappropriate? Fu Qingli said. Don't worry. If you agree to be the village accountant, I will handle everything else, the brigade commander reassured her. Very well. I will work hard to do this job well, Fu Qingli answered. She thought to herself, who would want to toil in the fields when they could work in an office as an accountant? Good. You may get familiar with the work first. These are the account books left by the former accountant. Go over the general ledger, the brigade commander said. Understood, Fu Qingli replied. The brigade commander then took out a key, retrieved several account books from the cabinet, and set them out. All the records are here. Check them over. If you find no problems, you will officially take over tomorrow. Your daily duties will include sorting and registering the work, point records submitted by each team leader. You will also check tool quantities and damage reports with the toolkeeper. In addition, you must verify all grain, in and grain, out records with the granary keeper, state grain tax payments, household rations, seed grain, relief reserve grain, feed grain, and the grain distribution details for every household. Every single grain must be logged. You cannot afford any mistakes here. You will also cooperate with higher-level audits to guard against embezzlement. That covers most of your responsibilities. You will also keep records for chickens, ducks, pigs, and geese. Do I really have to record so much every single day? Fu Qingli asked. The brigade commander gave her a sideways glance. The team leaders will have already sorted out the work points. You only need to copy them into your ledger. As for the tools, the keeper will go through them, set aside all damaged items, and make notes. You just review, verify, and register them. And the granary keeper is even more careful than you. If even one grain goes missing, he is the first one to be held accountable. That is all I need to tell you. This is a job people would fight over, yet here you are complaining about too much paperwork. Fu Qingli touched her nose in embarrassment. All right, get acquainted with your work. After work ends, the team leaders will come to you with their work point books. Once you have mastered your duties, you may arrange your remaining time as you see fit. That desk on the right is yours. Here is the cabinet key. Remember to lock all account books inside the cabinet after finishing work each day, the brigade commander instructed. I understand, Fu Qingli said. That is all for now. I am leaving. As he turned to go, he glanced at Fu Qingli again. He thought, if she had not saved my son, my grandson, and quite a few young men from the village, this position would never have fallen to her. With that thought, the brigade commander walked out. Once he was gone, Fu Qingli pulled over the account books and checked them carefully. Finding no errors, she locked them safely in the cabinet. She headed back to the educated youth compound to gather more firewood. Yet the moment she reached her room, she saw piles of firewood stacked before her door, enough for 10 to half a month of cooking. Heaped beside the wood were various foodstuffs, eggs, wood, ear mushrooms, wild mushrooms, cabbages, turnips, potatoes, dried wild vegetables, and coarse grains. Fu Qingli frowned in confusion, wondering where all these supplies had come from. Just then, Zhuzi stepped out from behind the firewood stack. Sister Fu, thank you for saving me yesterday. He pulled 2 eggs from his pocket and pressed them into her hands. These things were sent over by the young men you rescued yesterday. They asked me to wait here for you to come back. Fu Qingli had not expected that her spontaneous act of kindness would bring her so many gifts. Looking at the eggs and provisions, she knew these represented the very best things the villagers could offer. She turned to Zhuzi. Sister does not lack food. Please ask everyone to take these things back. Take these eggs back for yourself too. She tried to return the eggs to him. Zhuzi shook his head firmly and refused to take them. Sister Fu, my mother specially boiled these for you. You have to eat them. The rest are tokens of gratitude from the uncles and aunts of the village. Please do not turn them down. With those words, he darted away at once, afraid Fu Qingli would force the eggs back on him. Fu Qingli stared down at the eggs in her hands, lost in thought. Just then, Bai Tingting walked over. When she saw the piles of food and firewood, jealousy burned in her eyes. An idea formed in her mind. You are truly impressive, Comrade Fu. So many people bring you food, drink, and firewood. How I envy you. If only I were you. You get everything without lifting a finger, and people even chop firewood for you. Fu Qingli glanced at her. Unfortunately, you are not me. She unlocked her door and carried the food inside piece by piece. Bai Tingting was not discouraged by the cold reply. Yes, I am not you. I cannot slay 2 wild boars single-handedly. I truly admire your extraordinary strength. Unlike me, I have no great physical power and must rely entirely on myself. You live alone in this room. Are you not afraid? How about I move in to stay with you? I can help you clean, tidy the room, and cook. Wouldn't that be nice? Fu Qingli carried the last cabbage indoors and slammed the door shut. Staring at the closed door, Bai Tingting bit her lip. What is there to be so proud of? You only killed 2 wild boars. Just you wait. Inside her room, Fu Qingli sorted through all the gifts. She decided to deliver them to the people staying in the cattle shed. These ordinary supplies would not draw unwanted attention. Afterward, she entered her personal space to cultivate her powers. Soon her super abilities advanced to the 3rd rank and a satisfied smile tugged at her lips. In her previous life, her powers had only reached the 8th rank, and she had never broken through to the 9th before she died. But judging by her current rate of progress in this life, she believed she would reach the 9th rank before long. Checking the time, she saw it was 9 o'clock at night. She set off for the cattle shed. Exiting her personal space, she stored all the food inside it, quietly opened her door, and found the whole compound wrapped in stillness. She thought that people of this era went to bed early, unlike people in later generations who stayed up late deep into the night. She climbed over the compound wall and quickly reached the cattle shed. After checking to make sure no one was around, she slipped to the doorway and set down all the provisions. Then she tossed a small stone against the door. A voice came from inside right away. Who is there? Hearing the voice, Fu Qingli quickly hid herself. Sounds of movement followed from within, as if people were getting dressed. Presently the door creaked quietly open. Gao Guoxing peered sharply in every direction. Seeing no one, he looked down and spotted the pile of supplies on the ground. Shocked, he called to the others inside. Come out quickly and help. Guozi and Song Jiangwo hurried outside. When they saw the food piled on the ground, they rushed to carry everything back into the shed. A lamp flickered to life inside. The 3 men stared at the food spread across the table and fell into a heavy silence. Having confirmed the supplies were safely inside, Fu Qingli left. What she did not notice was a shadow emerging from the darkness the moment she departed. The figure watched the direction she had gone and raised an eyebrow. Interesting. He could not identify her, but he was certain it was a woman. He had just arrived when he saw her throw the stone at the door. At first he had hidden, thinking she had come to cause trouble. His identity must never be discovered. To his surprise, he had found a heap of supplies left behind. After she departed, he knocked softly on the cattle shed door. The men inside grew alarmed and hastily hid all the goods. Who is it? They called out. A deep voice answered. Grandfather, Grandfather Gao, Grandfather Gua, it is me, Lu Lin. At the sound of his voice, Song Jiangwo and the others stiffened. They wrenched the door open and pulled him swiftly inside. Once they saw who it was, they lowered their voices. Lu Lin, who told you to come here? Leave at once before you are seen. Grandfather, I have already come. Are you really going to send me away? Lu Lin said. You must go. You ought never to set foot here, Song Jiangwo insisted. The other 2 men echoed him. Yes, go quickly. Disaster will follow if anyone finds you. Do not worry, Grandfather. No one will spot me, Lu Lin assured them. Grandfather, do you know who has been sending you these supplies? Song Jiangwo shook his head. We have no idea. Do you remember when these deliveries first started? Lu Lin asked. Song Jiangwo thought back. It began around the time of the big communal meal. Lu Lin arched an eyebrow. Communal meals were discontinued years ago. Why was one held all of a sudden? They say it is because the village hunted 2 wild boars. We do not know the full story, Song Jiangwo replied. Villagers avoided them as though they carried a plague. For their part, the men avoided contact with the villagers. Being dragged out for public criticism every so often was hard for anyone to bear. Lu Lin listened to their account and studied the ordinary farm produce laid on the table. These were among the finest goods ordinary villagers could muster, especially the eggs, which most people could scarcely afford. He resolved to investigate and find out who had been secretly helping the three elders. Seeing Lulin deep in thought, the old men said nothing and quietly stowed away the supplies. Watching them expertly conceal the goods, Lulin's heart ached. He pulled braised pork, marinated pork head meat, pork hoxen sauce, and steamed buns wrapped in aluminum lunchboxes from his coat. Grandfather, Grandfather Gao, Grandfather Gua, come, eat while it is still hot. The old men's mouths watered at the sight of the rich food. Without standing on ceremony, they sat down and ate heartily until every bite was gone. Song Jiangwo looked toward Lulin. Are your parents well? They are fine, grandfather, do not worry. So are your sons-in-law and grandchildren, Lulin told him. Relief washed over Song Jiangwo. Good, good. I can rest easy knowing they are safe. He then asked Lulin, are you here on official assignment? Lulin paused briefly before answering. Grandfather, I have been discharged from the military. I am now the group leader of the county public security unit. What? Song Jiangwo reeled, nearly losing his balance. With your standing, how could you take such a minor county-level post? Have I brought misfortune down upon you? No, grandfather, do not blame yourself. I applied for this post of my own free will. It lets me look after you more easily, Lulin explained. Song Jiangwo trembled with anger. I do not need your care. Go back where you came from. Do you realize you are ruining your own prospects? With your talents, you could have secured a respectable position in the capital after discharge. Why come all the way to this remote province? This is all my fault. I have dragged you down. Do not reproach yourself, grandfather. None of this is your doing. I cannot tell you the full truth for now, Lulin said. Song Jiangwo sighed heavily. Very well. You should leave now. Lulin nodded. It was far too late, and he really ought to depart. He opened the door, scanned the surroundings to make certain nobody lurked nearby, then slipped out of the cattle shed and vanished into the night. Meanwhile, Fu Qingli had climbed back into the educated youth compound. Right as she landed, she spotted a sneaky figure heading toward her quarters. She ducked out of sight. The person stopped by the wall, less than 10 meters away from her. When Fu Qingli recognized him, she raised an eyebrow. Zhao Fujuan? What was he doing here? She watched him glance left and right. He pressed on an inconspicuous stone, pried it loose, took out an object, glanced at it, slipped something new inside, replaced the stone carefully, and returned to the main quarters. Frowning, Fu Qingli walked over to the wall. She felt along the stones, found the right one, pressed it, pried it up, and discovered a slip of paper hidden within. Holding it up to the moonlight, she read the short message, Old place, 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Meet me there. Staring at the handwriting, Fu Qingli sank into thought. She folded the note, put it back, and reset the stones so no trace remained before returning to her room. She tried to recall what she knew about Zhao Fujuan from the novel, yet the story barely mentioned him at all. Still, she resolved to follow him secretly the next night. Once inside her room, she bolted the door and entered her personal space. To her delight, the wheat, rice, and corn seeds she had planted had all sprouted. She glanced over at her medicinal herb plot, then climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor of the bamboo building. She picked up an ancient medical text and began identifying the medicinal plants growing in her space. Kyer fluttered over. Master, what are you doing? I am identifying medicinal herbs, Fu Qingli replied. Ask me if you run into anything you do not understand. I know every plant here, including their medicinal effects, Kaya offered. Fu Qingli's eyes lit up. You are far more capable than I expected, Kyer. Kaya puffed out her small chest proudly. Of course I am. The former master loved researching herbs and concocting medicinal pills. I learned a great deal watching them. Every master after that also studied medicinal plants, so I picked up even more knowledge. I am very skilled. Fu Qingli stroked the little spirit's head. Wonderful, Kyer. I will come to you whenever I have questions. Please do, master. It was very late, however, and she needed to rest. She went up to the 3rd floor and lay down on the warm jade bed. It was her first time sleeping on it, and she wondered what it would feel like. As soon as she lay down, warmth wrapped over her whole body, and she drifted off into a deep sleep very quickly. Yet before long, she fell into a nightmare. She saw the terrible fate of Fu Qingyao's family, their despair trapped amid raging flames, and the curses shouted by the Song family as they met their end. She also watched Fu Qingchen and Fu Qingse stand by with cold, indifferent expressions, witnessing every horror unfold. Only after they were certain Fu Qingyao's whole family had perished in the fire did the two brothers turn and leave. Next, Fu Qingchen and Fu Qingse arrived at the old family home. Fu Aigua frowned at the sight of his two sons. What brings you here? Fu Qingchen and Fu Qingse stared coldly at him. Father, did you know that Qingqing was forced to go to the countryside and then abducted by human traffickers, suffering endless torment? How could I have known? Fu Aigua retorted. If I had, I would never have let her endure such suffering. After all, she is still my daughter. Fu Qingchen laughed coldly. You still dare to call her your daughter? None of that would have happened if you had not sent her to the countryside. Every hardship she endured is your fault. That is enough. Fu Aigua shouted. What happened to Qingqing was merely misfortune. Fu Qingse let out a bitter laugh. Misfortune? This was no accident. All of it was plotted by your precious daughter Fu Qingyao. Be quiet. Fu Aigua roared. Do not speak such nonsense. Yao would never do such a thing. Jiang Meihua, who had remained silent until then, her eyes flickered. She looked at Fu Qingchen and Fu Qingse with tear-filled eyes. Chen Xiaosu, how can you say such things about your sister? She could never commit such wicked deeds. Silence. Fu Qingse snapped. Do not dare address us so casually. Do you truly believe we cannot uncover all the evil schemes you have carried out? We only have one sister, Qingqing. What is she to us? Jiang Meihua clenched her hands tightly. Even if they had uncovered the truth, they possessed no proof. Besides, Fu Qingyao now enjoyed the patronage of high-ranking leaders, so they could not touch her. Drawing herself up, she said, I know you dislike Yao, but you must not slander her. What would important leaders think if word of this got out? She is their personal physician now. Fu Aigua glared at his sons as if they were enemies. Are you determined to ruin Yao? Qingqing is already dead. What is done cannot be undone. Blame her bad fate. Now get out of my sight and never come back. Fu Qingchen and Fu Qingse laughed bitterly. Bad fate. What a convenient excuse. Fu Qingse fixed Fu Aigua with a fierce gaze. Does bad fate mean dying abandoned under a bridge with no one to bury you? Does bad fate mean being forced to go to the countryside in another's place? Does bad fate mean being kidnapped and tormented? What kind of twisted logic is this? Who decided misfortune justifies such suffering? Was it you, Fu Aigua? Enraged at hearing his given name spoken so disrespectfully, Fu Aigua grabbed a teacup and hurled it at Fu Qingse. Ungrateful wretch. How dare you speak to me like that? Fu Qingse dodged. The cup smashed against the floor, shattering into countless fragments. Murderous glint flashed in Fu Qingchen's eyes. He stepped forward and met Fu Aigua's gaze directly. Bad fate? Qingqing was born cherished and adored by all of us. Grandfather doted on her. Her maternal grandparents, uncles and aunts spoiled her endlessly and showered her with gifts every year. Even her pet name Nan An was given by her birth mother. If you had not forced our mother to her death for Jiang Meihua's sake and had not driven Qingqing out to the countryside, she would never have suffered all those miseries. So the root of all this sin lies in your lack of self-control. Don't think I don't know. Fu Qingyao is your illegitimate daughter with Jiang Meihua. At these words, Fu Aigua's eyes flickered. But the thought that Fu Qingchen dared to insult him like this enraged him, and he slapped him hard across the face. Beast! What nonsense are you spouting? Stung by the blow, Fu Qingchen let out a bitter laugh. Still laughing, he drove a knife deep into Fu Aigua's heart. Fu Aigua stared down at the blade buried in his chest in utter disbelief. Fu Qingchen fixed him with a fierce gaze. Fu Aigua, I want to see whether your heart is black or red. He twisted the blade, and a still, beating heart was torn free. Fu Qingchen looked at the heart impaled on the knife point and curled his lip. So it is red. Tell me, why would a man like you have a red heart? Fu Aigua's mouth worked as he stared at his own heart, yet no words came out. His eyes remained wide open in death as he crumpled to the ground. Witnessing the scene, Jiang Meihua let out a terrified shriek. Help! Murder! Fu Qingse watched Jiang Meihua, pale with fright and trembling uncontrollably, and smirked. I thought you were braver than that. Turns out you are nothing. He stepped forward and ended her life with one stroke. Jiang Meihua clutched her gushing neck, her face full of disbelief, before she gurgled and breathed her last. Fu Qingchen and Fu Qingse stood over the two bodies and lifted their gazes toward the empty air. Little sister, your elder brothers have avenged you. We hope you will not blame us for failing to recognize you back then. They had never imagined the cherished younger sister they had doted on would end up suffering such a fate. The memory of ordering others to drive Fu Qingqing away wrenched at their hearts. They should not have stayed away in the army out of anger toward Fuigwa, leaving their sister unprotected. By the time they learned she had been forced to go to the countryside and their grandfather had passed away, it was already too late. They traveled to the rural area searching for her, but found no trace. They began their investigation, and all clues pointed to Fu Qingyao. Yet they had no solid evidence. Given Fu Qingyao's social standing, they could do nothing to her. Tears of remorse welled in both their eyes. Just then, guards who had heard the commotion burst in. They were met with the blood-chilling sight. Shaken to the core, one guard drew his pistol with trembling hands. "Freeze! Hands up!" At the sight of the guards, Fu Qingchen and Fu Qingse exchanged a faint smile. They raised their daggers and slit their own throats. "Little sister, we are coming to join you," Fu Qingli screamed. "No!" She jolted awake, gasping for breath. Silent tears streamed down her cheeks. She could not tell whether the emotions belonged to the original host or to herself. Watching her two elder brothers take their own lives had filled her with unbearable agony. She slowly sat up from the warm jade bed and walked to the dressing table. Staring at her reflection in the mirror, she murmured, "Was that a past life?" After Fu Qingqing died, her two elder brothers avenged her in such a brutal way. "Does Fu Qingqing regret giving me her body?" At that moment, the mirror rippled. The figure of the original host appeared within it. She looked straight at Fu Qingli. "Do not dwell on this. You are me and I am you." Fu Qingli shuddered. "What do you mean?" The next instant, the original host dissolved into a shaft of light and flowed into her mind. Visions unfolded before her eyes. She saw the original host's rebirth in the modern world. Fu Qingli froze. That person was herself. Scene after scene of her modern-day life played out, followed by her death and return to this body. She laughed and wept. She laughed because the heavy guilt of being discovered as an imposter by her grandfather was gone. She wept at the horrifying image of her two brothers dying. She wiped her tears roughly, fixed her gaze on her reflection, and swore inwardly. This would never happen again. In this life, she would protect every member of her family and shield them from all harm. As for Fu Qingyao and Fu Igwa, she would make them pay for every wrong they had committed. Overwhelmed by surging feelings, sleep eluded her. She went downstairs, stepped into her spatial realm, and sat beside the spiritual spring to cultivate. Night passed in the blink of an eye. Inside the space, Fu Qingli steamed pork and cabbage buns and cooked millet congee. After her simple breakfast, she left the space and headed for the threshing ground. The moment she stepped out of the educated youth compound, the work bell rang out sharply. Soon she reached the threshing ground. Once everyone had assembled, the brigade captain stepped forward and addressed the crowd. "I have an announcement to make. Our former brigade accountant has completed formalities and returned to the city. We need to appoint a new accountant to take over his duties." A murmur rippled through the crowd. The accountant's post spared one from breaking outdoor labor. It involved keeping work, point records, and managing accounts. It was a respectable, easy position for which many would compete fiercely. Young villagers with some schooling, along with the educated youth, lit up with hope. Many mentally weighed their own literacy and arithmetic skills, eager to volunteer. The brigade captain observed their reactions and coughed to quiet the buzz of conversation. He scanned the expectant crowd and spoke. "After discussion by the brigade committee, a candidate has been selected. Educated youth Fu Qingli will serve as the new brigade accountant." His words sent an uproar through the crowd. Doubt, resentment, and envy flared at once. "Why her? Fu Qingli has barely been here. How can she be brigade accountant?" A young villager stepped forward, seething with indignation. He had studied locally and believed himself fully qualified. He had long hoped for this opening, only to see it snatched away by a newly arrived outsider. Jealousy burned inside him. "Captain, this is wrong. We should pick someone from our own village first. She just got here, why should she get this post?" Meng Hongbing, one of the senior educated youth, frowned deeply. He had labored in the countryside for more than 2 years and had long set his sights on this comfortable role. Suppressing his frustration, he waited to see how events unfolded. Convinced of his own seniority and reliability, he had believed the position would be his. Other senior educated youth said nothing, yet their faces darkened. They too resented that a newcomer had been given such a desirable job while they toiled in the fields day after day. Among the newly arrived youth, Bai Tingting jumped out, undisguised jealousy in her eyes. The rest of the new arrivals felt a mix of admiration and envy. Bai Tingting pointed toward the brigade captain. Why should Fu Qingli get the job? This isn't fair. We should hold an open contest for a fair competition. Her remark fanned the crowd's smoldering discontent. Voices rose one after another. Yes. Why her? She gets such a good post right after arriving. We refuse to accept this. Some shouted out of pure envy for the easy work. Others felt the brigade was showing favoritism. Meng Hongbing, head of the educated youth quarters, stepped forward, holding back his jealousy. Captain, please give us a reasonable explanation. Why Fu Qingli? If we are to choose someone, we ought to select from among those of us who have served here for years. The shortest among us has labored for more than 2 years. Fu Qingli has only just arrived. Putting her in charge of such important work will hardly convince anyone. Su Hui watched the tense Meng Hongbing, then looked at Fu Qingli facing the crowd's criticism. Glancing over the agitated crowd, she pressed her lips together. Though a little envious, she chose not to join the protest. As disorder threatened to spiral, the brigade captain roared. Enough. The crowd fell abruptly silent. You ask why her? I will tell you plainly today. She risked her life to save more than 20 young men from our village. She single-handedly killed 2 wild boars and shared the meat with every household here. If any of you object, go kill 2 wild boars in the mountains and bring them back. At these words, the young men Fu Qingli had rescued stepped forward to speak for her. The old village chief's young son Lu Zhenbang was among them. He took 2 steps forward, voice heated. You have no idea how dangerous those mountains were. Without Fu Qingli, all of us would have lost our lives out there. We fully support her as our brigade accountant. Others echoed loudly. Yes, we support her. Their families also voiced their approval. Fu Qingli is trustworthy. We feel safe letting her manage our accounts. The old village chief walked forward and slowly surveyed the villagers and educated youth. And it is not only the debt of gratitude for saving lives. Do you all remember the wild boar meat distribution? Fu Qingli gave all the best cuts to the villagers and kept only the poorest parts for herself. With such selfless character, what reason have you to doubt her handling of brigade accounts? Would you rather appoint someone who only seeks personal gain? You will regret it once you have been cheated. As they recalled the meat distribution, the crowd's jealousy faded. Doubts melted away. You are right. We trust Fu Qingli with our accounts. Voices of agreement rang out. The young villager who had first spoken out still burned with resentment, yet dared not argue further. He shot Fu Qingli a sharp glare and retreated into the throng. Meng Hongbing clenched his fists, closed his eyes, and forced down his bitter jealousy before returning to the ranks of the educated youth. He seethed inwardly. Why should Fu Qingli receive such a coveted post so soon after arrival while he toiled year after year in the fields? Resentment took root in his heart. The rest of the senior, educated youth shared his envy, yet accepted the decision and said no more. Hidden in the crowd, Bai Tingting glared furiously at Fu Qingli, consumed by frustration. Quiet slowly returned. The brigade captain secretly admired the old village chief for calming the restless crowd with a few well-chosen words. He cleared his throat and called out. This matter is settled. Everyone get back to work and attend to your duties. The crowd dispersed to fetch their farm tools. Small groups talked over what had just happened, some genuinely approving, others still harboring misgivings. Fu Qingli followed the brigade captain and old village chief back to the brigade office compound. The old village chief turned to her and spoke gently. Do not take their words to heart. Villagers are quick to stir each other up. Do your work fairly and honestly, and they will find no fault with you. Thank you, village chief, Fu Qingli replied softly. There is no need to thank me. We owe you thanks. The old village chief waved his hand, still shaken. Thank you for saving my reckless son. He told me everything about that terrifying day in the mountains. Hearing it frightened this old man half to death, and his mother fainted clean away. If anything had happened to him, our family would have been destroyed. We will never forget what you did. Fu Qingli felt a little embarrassed. She had acted originally out of fear that the elderly people in the cattle pen would suffer under a new leader. She had never expected this opportunity to come her way. The brigade captain added, do not let this weigh on you. Simply do your work solidly. I understand, Fu Qingli nodded. The 2 men then left to inspect farm work in the fields, leaving her alone in the large office. There were no pressing tasks for the moment. Fu Qingli decided to go for a walk. She came to the frozen river and glanced quickly around. No one was in sight. She clenched her fist and smashed it hard against the thick ice. Crack! A dull splitting sound rang out. A basin, Sized hole opened in the heavy ice, and frigid cold billowed out from the opening. Fu Qingli stared at the broken ice. Truly, northeast China's winter produced incredibly thick ice. She lifted her fingertip and let a drop of spiritual, spring water fall through the hole into the river. She waited for fish to appear, yet nothing stirred beneath the ice. Had she used too little spiritual, spring water? Hesitating, she let several more drops drip into the river. Moments later, dark masses surged beneath the ice. Schools of fish, drawn by the spiritual energy, swarmed toward the opening, circling and knocking against the underside of the ice. Fu Qingli stared at the dense shoals beneath the ice, stunned. How could so many fish be drawn here? Using her mind, she quietly transported large groups of fish into the stream inside her spatial realm. After 3 batches, fish kept swimming toward the hole without cease. Fu Qingli marveled at how potent the spiritual, spring water was. A voice sounded inside her space. It was Kair. Master, spiritual, spring water comes in grades, primary, intermediate, and advanced. Each grade has early, mid, and peak stage subdivisions. Our spiritual spring is at intermediate, peak stage, only 1 step away from advanced. When you poured in so many drops, spiritual energy spread through the river water. Fish within the surrounding waters sensed it and flocked here. Fu Qingli, what do I do now? The stream in the space can hold no more fish. Kair, it will be fine once the river water dilutes the spiritual energy. Fu Qingli, that is hardly helpful. She watched more fish keep coming and grew anxious. What if someone discovered this strange phenomenon? She considered storing all the fish in her space. The space preserved things well, and they might survive even out of water. As she thought this over, the brigade captain and old village chief rounded the bend and spotted her squatting beside the river, looking troubled. They hurried over to check what was wrong. When they drew near, they froze in place. Silver flashes glinted constantly within the ice hole. Countless fish battered at the opening. Fat carp and crucian carp leaped straight out onto the frozen surface, thrashing and splashing icy water everywhere. The old village chief's eyes went wide with disbelief. The brigade captain gasped, looking excitedly at Fu Qingli. Fu Qingli, you are incredible. You have struck a fish hotspot. Fu Qingli, a fish hotspot? Seeing her confusion, the brigade captain remembered she was a city-born girl who would know nothing of river fishing. He explained eagerly, that means you have broken through the ice right where large schools of fish gather. Fu Qingli took the convenient explanation gratefully and feigned realization. Oh, I see. I only smashed a hole to see if there might be fish. I never expected so many would turn up. I was afraid something terrible had happened. Terrible? This is wonderful news, the brigade captain exclaimed. You are truly a blessing for our village. The old village chief coughed softly, signaling him to moderate his tone lest others take offense. The brigade captain composed himself and called out to his young grandson playing in the distance. Juicy, run back to the village and tell everyone to bring tools and come fish by the river. Drop whatever they are doing. Juicy sprinted off. Understood, grandfather. He turned back to Fu Qingli. You have unbelievable luck. Last lunar, 12th month I wanted fish for the villagers to enjoy for New Year. We spent days chopping ice on the river and caught barely anything. We thought there were almost no fish left. Yet you break one hole and hit a fish hotspot. By then, strong villagers had rushed to the river. They stared at the surging fish beneath the ice, overcome with joy. Good heavens! It really is a fish hotspot. Look at all these fish. When Juicy told us to come fishing, I thought he was joking. The brigade captain roused the stunned onlookers with a loud shout. What are you standing around for? Go get nets and baskets at once, before the fish swim away. They hurried off to fetch their fishing gear. Soon villagers of all ages arrived. Men fished through the ice hole, women and children collected the catch into baskets, which were carried to the threshing ground. Fu Qingli watched the bustling crowd and smiled. Such lively, earthly warmth was a rare sight. After roughly 2 hours, the fishing was finished. Though tired, every villager wore a happy, contented smile. Soon, a group of men carried the fish to the threshing ground. Looking at the excited faces of the crowd, the production brigade leader said, "Today we get to eat fish. Do you know who we have to thank for this?" The villagers looked at one another in bewilderment. Then the brigade leader went on, "We have Comrade Fu Jiqing to thank." When Comrade Fu was walking past the river, she wondered if there might be fish in the water, so she gave the ice a casual jab. Unexpectedly, her blow landed right near a fish's eye. So who should we thank for this fish? Hearing this, everyone turned quickly to Fu Qingli, who stood beside the brigade leader, and shouted in unison, "Thank you, Comrade Fu." Praise poured forth without end. Fu Qingli grew somewhat embarrassed under all the compliments. Some villagers who had resented Fu Qingli's appointment as brigade accountant could not very well complain any longer, not with all this fish to eat. Only one young man wore a dark, sullen expression as he stared at Fu Qingli. Seeing this, the girl beside him tugged at his sleeve. "Brother." Zhao Baobao noticed the worried look on his younger sister Zhao Xiaohua's face and smoothed over his outward demeanor, yet resentment burned inside him. Why had this newly arrived educated youth been made accountant so soon, while he, a native of the village, had been passed over? He considered himself reasonably well educated. After all, not many people in those days had finished junior high school. Glancing over the mountain of fish, the brigade leader estimated there were at least 1,000 jin. "We will divide the fish by drawing lots," he announced. Implements for the lottery were brought out. Before long, piles of fresh fish lay spread across the sun-drying ground. Several women stared at the wriggling catch and murmured, "Captain, do young children count as full shares? Little ones can barely eat a few bites. Should we have their portion?" Holding his account book, the brigade leader frowned and spoke loudly, "We follow the old rule. Every registered villager counts as one share, young or old. Children are small now, but in a few years they will work and earn work points. We cannot treat them differently." As brigade accountant, Fu Qingli took her writing brush and jotted down the allocated weight for each household. Families of 3 received 5 to 6 jin. Larger households of 5 or 6 got upwards of 10 jin. Single educated youths and elderly people living alone each received a little over 2 jin. Big and small fish were mixed together for each pile, with a numbered slip placed on top of every heap. One representative from each household, come draw your lot. Take whichever pile matches your number. No picking and choosing. Adults and children crowded around to watch. Small children clung to their parents' arms, eyes fixed greedily on the live fish, mouths watering, eager to carry their share home for a long-awaited fish feast. Soon the fish were all distributed. Fu Qingli collected her own portion. Then the brigade leader and village chief decided to give her an extra large carp weighing more than 3 jin. At once, one envious villager spoke up in discontent. "Comrade Fu lives alone. She cannot possibly eat so much fish. She already got her regular share. Why give her extra?" The brigade leader shot Lu Zhaodi a sharp glare. "Why? You ought to know why. These fish were discovered by Comrade Fu. Our brigade rule says the person who makes the find gets an extra share. What are you grumbling about? Are you unwilling to keep the fish you drew? If so, hand it back." Lu Zhaodi pressed her lips together. She was a villager of this commune, her assigned fish belonged to her, and she had no intention of giving it up. Snatching up her fish, she hurried away. Paying no mind to her retreating figure, the brigade leader turned toward the remaining fish in the basket. By rough reckoning, at least 500 or 600 jin were left. No one headed home. Everyone stayed to see what would be done with the surplus. After a moment's thought, the brigade leader called the old village chief and committee members for an impromptu meeting. "I intend to apply for official papers from the commune and sell all these leftover fish to the aquatic products purchasing station. The money will go into our brigade's collective funds to buy new farm tools and grain seed for next spring." The old village chief and other cadres all approved of the plan. The brigade leader and old village chief stepped outside and announced their decision to the assembled villagers. Delighted to hear the proceeds would fund collective farming supplies, the villagers picked up their fish and headed home in high spirits. Once everything was arranged, the brigade leader and party secretary set off for the commune in an ox-drawn cart. As dusk fell, the brigade leader returned to the village aboard the purchasing station's tractor. Several purchasing station workers climbed down, inspected the crates of fresh fish, nodded in satisfaction, then began weighing and loading the catch onto the tractor. Work continued until dark. In the end, 623 jin of fish were carted away. Clutching the payment he had received, the brigade leader grinned from ear to ear. No one had expected the leftover fish to weigh 623 jin in total, selling for 123 yuan and 10 jiao. After counting the money twice, he handed it to Fu Qingli. "Comrade Fu, as our brigade accountant, you will keep this collective revenue safe. Tomorrow morning the old village chief and I will go with you to deposit it in the brigade's public account at the commune credit union." Fu Qingli took the money. Rest assured, brigade leader. I shall handle this properly. She opened the brigade account book and recorded the income from the fish sale. Finishing the entry, she locked the cash and ledger together in her desk's locked drawer, though in reality, she stowed them inside her personal spatial storage. Glancing at the darkening sky outside the window, she said, "Brigade leader, village chief, it is getting late. I shall head back to the educated youth quarters." "Very well, go rest," the brigade leader waved. Fu Qingli bid them farewell, walked out of the brigade office, and made her way straight back to the youth quarters. The brigade leader and old village chief watched her leave. They double-checked doors, windows, and stove fires to make sure no hazards remained, locked up the office, and prepared to go home. They had only walked a short distance when the office telephone rang sharply. Turning to the old village chief, the brigade leader said, "Uncle Gio, you go on home. I have to go back and answer this." The old village chief departed. The brigade leader unlocked the door, hurried to the telephone, and picked up the receiver. "Hello, this is the Kaoshan Brigade office. Who is calling, please?" A steady, authoritative male voice came over the line. "Comrade Liu, this is Director Zhang from the County Revolutionary Committee." At the mention of Director Zhang, the brigade leader trembled, his voice shaking. Director Zhang, what instructions do you have for us?" "Calm yourself, Comrade Liu. I am merely inquiring. Among the newly arrived educated youths, is there a young woman surnamed Fu?" Wiping cold sweat from his forehead, the brigade leader answered quickly, "Yes, her name is Fu Qingli." "That is the one." Director Zhang hinted that Fu Qingli held special status and must be given thoughtful care. The brigade leader kept nodding and reported proactively, "You may rest easy. We have appointed Comrade Fu as brigade accountant. Her duties are limited to book-keeping. She does not need to perform heavy farm labor in the fields." Director Zhang laughed heartily, praising him for his good judgment and promising him future opportunities, then hung up. Staring at the dead receiver, the brigade leader let out a long breath. Thank goodness, it had only been instructions to look after the girl. He had been thoroughly frightened. Before he could compose himself, the telephone rang again. This second call made his legs go weak, cold sweat soaking through his shirt. The caller was Director He from Heilongjiang Province. In a grave tone, Director He gave repeated orders. Fu Qingli must be well, cared for, and must not suffer any mistreatment. She was the granddaughter of his old superior. Should anything befall her in Kaoshan Brigade, the brigade leader would be held fully responsible. Terrified and sweating profusely, the brigade leader repeated everything he had just told Director Zhang. Reassured that she was properly settled, Director He casually mentioned that the commune's top leader would soon be reassigned. If the brigade leader continued to perform reliably, he would be given priority consideration for the post. The brigade leader's head spun with excitement. He barely caught most of Director He's further instructions. Only when the line went dead did he snap back to reality and sink heavily onto the ground. He reflected that in his whole life the highest-ranking official he had ever met had been the commune director. Today he had received calls from 2 high-level cadres, and it had scared him half to death. He had barely regained some composure when the telephone rang once more. He jolted, swallowed hard, and lifted the receiver. Hearing the familiar voice of his commune superior, he finally breathed a huge sigh of relief. The commune leader's message was identical to the previous 2, repeated instructions to take good care of Fu Qingli. After hanging up, the brigade leader was full of questions. Just what sort of background did Fu Qingli have? At the same time, he felt deeply thankful that his proposal to make her accountant had turned out so fortunately. In future, whenever he faced difficult official matters, he could bring Fu Qingli along to the commune, and no one would dare give him trouble. Cheered by this thought, he brushed dirt off his clothes, locked the brigade office door, and walked home in high spirits. The moment he pushed open his gate, a rich, appetizing aroma of stewed fish washed over him. He drew a deep breath. "That smells wonderful." His wife Wang Xiuqin glanced at him. "Look at you. Go wash your hands for supper." Right, he replied, hurrying to wash and sit down at the table. That day, joy filled every household in Kaoshan village. Smoke curled from every chimney, carrying the savory scent of simmering fish. Back in Beijing, old Master Fu received a long-distance call from Director He of Heilongjiang Province. Learning that his granddaughter Fu Qingli had become brigade accountant only 3 days after going to the countryside and was spared heavy field work, he beamed with delight. "Xiao He, I cannot thank you enough. You are too kind, old leader. It is my duty to assist you. Besides, the girl has real ability. To become accountant in merely 3 days speaks for itself. You need not worry over much. I have also arranged for commune cadres to pay regular visits and ensure she suffers no unfair treatment out in the countryside. Old Master Fu said good 3 times in succession and hung up. In excellent spirits, he paced slowly about his courtyard, humming old folk tunes. Elsewhere, Fu Qingli's father Fu Aigua also received a phone call from Director Zheng of the County Revolutionary Committee. Learning his daughter had obtained the respectable post of brigade accountant in only 3 days in the countryside, swelling pride rose within him. That was his daughter, through and through. Just then, Jiang Meihua came out from the kitchen carrying a pot of soup. She caught sight of the undisguised joy on Fu Aigua's face. Her mouth tightened into a stiff smile, and she probed softly, "Aigua, what happy news has you so pleased?" Fu Aigua could not contain his delight. Nanan became brigade accountant only 3 days after going to the countryside. She truly takes after me. These words pierced Jiang Meihua to the core. Rage surged inside her. Why should that girl get such an easy, decent position as soon as she arrived in the countryside? In contrast, her own daughter had lost her unborn child and endured endless hardship. It was so unfair. Her eyes glinted with calculation, yet she kept her expression one of tender concern. It does seem rather unusual. The accountant post normally goes through layers of selection. How did Nanan obtain it so quickly after arriving? She paused briefly, then clapped a hand over her mouth as if she had said something improper. Oh dear, forgive my loose tongue. I simply cannot help wondering whether she might have done something inappropriate to secure this job. Fu Aigua's brows drew together sharply. Do not speak such nonsense. Though he rebuked her aloud, seeds of doubt had been planted in his mind. Catching his wavering look, Jiang Meihua's lips curled into a faint, cold smirk. She said no more, picked up her soup pot, and left for the hospital. As soon as she was gone, Fu Aigua grabbed his car keys and drove hurriedly to old Master Fu's compound in the military region quarters. Entering the courtyard, he saw his father strolling about humming happily. He stepped forward quickly. Father, have you heard that Nanan became brigade accountant just 3 days after going to the countryside? Old Master Fu glanced over. Word travels fast with you. Fu Aigua frowned deeply. Father, have you considered that something untoward might lie behind this? Old Master Fu's eyes narrowed, his tone turning heavy. What exactly are you implying? Fu Aigua drew a deep breath. Life in the countryside is harsh. I fear Nanan might have acted foolishly and taken the wrong path. At those words, old Master Fu flew into a towering rage. Eyes blazing, he thundered, ungrateful boy. You cannot even wish our Nanan well. Get out. Get out of my sight. Do not set foot in this house again, or I shall break your legs. Anger flared in Fu Aigua as well. Father, can you not see how strange this is? 3 short days, and she is brigade accountant. I simply cannot believe there is no hidden story. Old Master Fu seized his walking cane and struck it hard against Fu Aigua's back. Ungrateful wretch. You begrudge her any good fortune. Get out. Sharp pain shot across his back. Dodging the blows, Fu Aigua argued loudly, Father, you spoil her blindly. One day you will regret this. He spun around and stormed away. Watching his son's retreating figure, old Master Fu trembled with fury. What sins had he committed to raise such a muddle-headed son? Seeing how upset the old man was, his bodyguard hurried over to help him sit and poured him a cup of hot tea. Old Master Fu waved the bodyguard away and walked slowly upstairs. He did not know exactly how Nanan had come to be brigade accountant, but he trusted his granddaughter completely. She would never do anything shameful or disappoint him. As for his confused son, let him think whatever he pleased. Back at Kaoshan Brigade, the educated youths pooled their portions of fish, lit a big iron pot, and stewed a huge batch. When mealtime came, everyone scrambled, afraid of missing out. They stuffed fish into their mouths without care for fishbone pricks. At the Zhao family table, however, the atmosphere was completely different. Zhao Baobao stared at the steaming fish before him and would not lift his chopsticks. Zhao Xiaohua saw her brother refusing to eat and placed a piece of fish in his bowl. Brother, please eat. Zhao Baobao frowned and set down his chopsticks. Seeing her son's sullen mood, Sun Zhaodi asked anxiously, My boy, what is wrong? Is the fish not to your taste? Zhao Baobao ignored her. Tears welled in Sun Baodi's eyes. Meals with meat were so rare in these times. It was all that new educated youth's fault. She had stolen the accountant post that ought to have belonged to her son. She would remember this grudge. That girl would pay. Sun Jiaodi doted on Zhao Baobao for good reason. During the great famine-driven migration years, she had borne 5 children, 4 sons and 1 daughter, the youngest being Zhao Xiaohua. Hunger and illness had claimed 3 of the children along the way. Only Zhao Baobao and Zhao Xiaohua had survived to settle in Kaoshan village. Zhao Laozhen looked at his son's petulant display and frowned. Have you no more sense than this? So you did not get to be brigade accountant. Must you mope so? He sipped his homemade wine and chewed on a mouthful of fish. Sun Jiaodi gave him an urgent shove. Do you have some plan? Speak up. Look how upset our son is. Setting down his wine cup slowly, Zhao Laogan's eyes glinted with calculation. He lowered his voice. Why rush? If this new educated youth refuses to know her place and took what ought to be Baobao's, we can arrange for Baobao to marry her. Once she is married into our Zhao family, she will be entirely under our influence. Then we can pressure her to give up the accountant's position. The problem will be solved. Zhao Baobao's eyes lit up. Of course. If he married that young woman surnamed Fu, he would have power over her. Sun Jiaodi's face brightened. Exactly. Once she joins our household, we will make all the decisions. We will teach her proper respect for elders. Delighted, she picked up her chopsticks and placed a large chunk of fish in Zhao Baobao's bowl. Son, eat plenty. His mind made up, Zhao Baobao finally picked up his chopsticks and ate heartily. Satisfied to see his son's spirits restored, Zhao Laozhen took another sip of his cheap wine. Only Zhao Xiaohua sat heavy-hearted. She watched her brother with deep unease, a sense of foreboding settling over her. At this moment, Fu Qingli was inside her spatial dimension, gazing at swarms of fish swimming upstream in the brook. The dense mass of fish stretched on, nearly triggering her trypophobia. What was going on? These fish had not been this big when she fished them out just now. How could they have grown noticeably larger in such a short span of time? Just then, Kair fluttered over, a lively little fish clutched in its beak. Master, these fish taste quite delicious. Fu Qingli could not help chuckling. If you like them, eat your fill. Kair's eyes lit up. Really, master? Then I shall not hold back. Fu Qingli said, eat as much as you want. Wonderful, master. With that, Kair flew straight to the bank of the brook. Its figure flickered, manifesting the gigantic phantom of a lawn bird. Its plumage unfurled, brilliant and multicolored, layers of flowing radiance spreading out in breathtaking beauty. Watching from the side, Fu Qingli marveled inwardly. It was stunning, utterly magnificent. Yet the next sight made her wish she could cover her eyes at once. The enormous lawn bird beak gaped wide, its form swelling several times larger. Countless small fish darted about in panic, scrambling headlong into the giant bird's maw. In but a moment, more than half the dense shoal in the brook was gone. Fu Qingli's jaw nearly dropped open in shock. That was certainly one way to eat. Seeing only a handful of fish left in the water, Fu Qingli breathed a sigh of relief. Now she need not worry about the fish overbreeding and overrunning the space. Presently, Kair let out a belch. The spiritual energy swirling around it drew inward, the colossal wandbird phantom faded little by little, and it returned to its usual small, delicate bird form. Kair turned its head and saw Fu Qingli's stunned expression. It scratched its little head sheepishly. Master, did I frighten you just now? That Dharma form I conjured came only from residual memories. I am not a complete 7-colored wandbird. I am but a single feather of one, refined by you by chance to become the spirit of this spatial dimension. And do not fear, I will devour everything here. I subsist on the space's spiritual energy and do not truly need food. I simply could not resist tasting something tasty when I chanced upon it. Fu Qingli was taken aback that Kair had read her thoughts. She shook her head awkwardly. No, I am not begrudging them. In fact, I ought to thank you for curbing the overabundant fish. Kair blinked its round eyes. Truly? Absolutely. Kair flapped its wings joyfully. I knew you were the best, master. With the fish problem resolved, Fu Qingli left the space. She cleaned the 2 fish she had been given and set about stewing them. Soon rich fish fragrance filled her small cottage. The educated youth in the front yard compound, full from their own meal, caught the aroma and instinctively sniffed the air. What was this? They had cooked fish too, so why was their stew not nearly so fragrant? The enticing scent stirred their hunger anew, and they found their stomachs growling. The youths exchanged glances. Ming Homping looked at the others. They might as well cook up their remaining fish. Nodding in agreement, they set to work. Meanwhile, Fu Qingli ate her fill of fish with steamed rice. After eating, she shut her doors and windows, re-entered the space, picked up her medical texts, and went to the medicinal herb field. She compared the books against the growing plants to identify different herbs, working on until the small hours. Yawning and stretching, she called to Kair, who was playing in the distance. Kair, come test me and see how many herbs I recognize. Kair flew over excitedly. Right away, master. It darted about the herb field, plucking specimens for Fu Qingli to identify. Before long, she had recognized well over 100 varieties. Kaya praised her warmly. You are amazing, master. Proud of herself, Fu Qingli replied, I think so too. All my hard work studying these herbs has not been for nothing. Glancing at the time, she saw it was already 3 o'clock in the morning. Had it grown so late? She had a vague sense of forgetting something, yet could not recall what it was. Deciding not to dwell on it, she skipped sleep and went to the spiritual spring well to cultivate. Time slipped by. When morning came, Fu Qingli caught a fish from the brook in her space and simmered a pot of fish soup. She drank a large bowl contentedly. Soup made with spiritual spring water really is incomparably fresh. She then exited the space. Passing the educated youth compound, she saw veteran youths step outside. She raised her hand to greet them politely, yet they pretended not to see her and turned away at once. Su Hui looked embarrassed, gave her a quick nod of greeting and hurried off as well. Bai Tinting simply tossed her head and walked away. The newer youths nodded briefly in acknowledgement. The older educated youths harbored great resentment toward Fu Qingli. The newcomers dared not alienate the rest of the group for someone they barely knew. Fu Qingli found their behavior rather amusing. She knew jealousy over her new position as village accountant lay behind it, so she paid them no further mind and headed straight for the brigade headquarters. When the brigade chief laid eyes on her, his gaze was unlike usual, full of curiosity, wariness, and faint, unspoken relief. Confused by his stare, Fu Qingli touched her face. Is something on my face? Why are you looking at me like that? Embarrassed, the brigade chief coughed. I was wondering what sort of luck let you strike the fish's eye with that throw. Fu Qingli touched her nose guiltily. I have no idea. I just threw casually and happened to hit the fabled fisheye. At that moment, the old village chief walked in. All right. Let us get ready and head for the commune. Understood, Fu Qingli answered. She opened a drawer and took out the account book and money. In truth, she had fetched them from her space. Then she boarded an ox cart with the brigade chief and village chief bound for the commune. It was Fu Qingli's first ride on an ox cart, and she looked about in curiosity. She watched the two older men rubbing their hands and blowing on them for warmth. Is it really that cold? The brigade chief nearly rolled his eyes inwardly. Cold? You are wearing a heavy army greatcoat. The village chief smiled. Old bones do not stand up to the cold like young folk. You young people have plenty of inner fire. Fu Qingli said nothing, merely touched her nose. Ever since awakening her fire-type superpower, she felt little chill. After advancing to the third order, she was even less affected by cold. Still, she wore her army greatcoat whenever she went out so as not to draw unwanted attention. They soon reached the commune credit union. They waited in a long queue before their turn. Fu Qingli had not expected such a wait even arriving early. Her stomach rumbled. She had only drunk a bowl of fish soup that morning. Once the money was deposited, outside the credit union building she said, Brigade Chief, Village Chief, wait for me. I have an errand to run. Hurry back, the brigade chief called. Fu Qingli acknowledged him. She went to the state-run restaurant and bought 10 meat-stuffed buns. She ate one herself, wrapped the remaining 9 in oil paper, and divided them into 3 portions. Returning to the ox cart where the men waited, she handed over the packages. You must be hungry. Have something to tide you over. I have more business to attend to, so you may head back without me. Before they could reply, she turned and hurried away. Holding the steaming buns, the brigade chief glanced at the other 2. Is this supposed to be a bribe? The old village chief shot him a look, unwrapped the paper, and sniffed appreciatively. I would not mind more bribes like this. I shall take these home for my wife to try. Old Liu, the cart driver, grinned. I did not expect to get a share too. The 3 men chatted merrily as they drove back to the village. Once they were out of sight, Fu Qingli returned to the state-run restaurant. She ordered braised pork and brown sauce, sweet and sour carp, and 2 liang of steamed rice. It cost 1 yuan 42 fin plus 2 liang of food grain coupons. She paid and handed over her coupons, then sat down at an empty table. She had not invited the village chief and brigade chief inside to dine with her for fear of making them uncomfortable, hence the buns instead. When her food was ready, she fetched her tray. Sinking her teeth into the glossy braised pork, she chewed slowly. Delicious. Pork from animals raised on natural feed tastes incomparable. She tried the sweet and sour carp next, and her eyes lit up. Absolutely wonderful. Just then, Ji Xiangdong and Lu Lin walked into the restaurant. Ji Xiangdong spotted Fu Qingli at once and stepped forward eagerly. Comrade Fu, what a surprise to see you here. Comrade Ji, she replied. Yes, it is me. I never thought I would run into you here. He glanced around. Would you mind if we shared this table? Not at all. Ji Xiangdong sat down with Lu Lin and made introductions. This is my friend Lu Lin. Lu Lin nodded at Fu Qingli. Who would have thought to meet someone so strikingly beautiful and poised in this out-of-the-way place? No wonder Ji Xiangdong drags me over here so often. Fu Qingli gave him a brief nod and kept eating. For no clear reason, Lu Lin's heart began pounding wildly when their eyes met. He pressed a hand to his chest. What is wrong with me? Is there something wrong with my heart? Her eyes are magnificent, like stars and the open sea. He coughed and kicked Ji Xiangdong under the table to cut off his attempts at small talk. What are you going to order? Anything will do, Ji Xiangdong said. Lu Lin gritted his teeth. The fool could barely keep his eyes off the young woman. He went to the counter and ordered braised spare ribs, preserved vegetable pork, seaweed and egg drop soup, and 2 bowls of rice. When the food arrived, Ji Xiangdong asked, "Why did you not get braised pork?" You said anything would do, Lu Lin retorted. Besides, eating braised pork every day will make you sick of it. Fair enough, Ji Xiangdong conceded. Fu Qingli set down her chopsticks. Enjoy your meal. I am finished. Goodbye. As she rose to leave, Ji Xiangdong spoke hastily. Comrade Fu, won't you try some of these spare ribs and preserved vegetable pork? They smell excellent. Fu Qingli's mouth twitched. They were hardly close enough to share a meal. No thank you. I am full. She walked away. Lu Lin was about to tease Ji Xiangdong, but his eyes narrowed at her departing back. That was the woman who brought supplies to the cowshed that night. It was dark, yet the moonlight had let him recognize that silhouette. Ji Xiangdong watched her go, then nudged the pensive Lu Lin with his elbow. What are you thinking about? Nothing. How much do you know about Comrade Fu? Ji Xiangdong thought it over. Hardly anything. I know she is remarkably capable in a fight. This is our 4th encounter. The first was at the train station, where I watched her overpower human traffickers. She never saw me. The second was right here in this restaurant, and again, she did not notice me. The third was a few nights ago, when I helped her fend off robbers. And this is the 4th. Lu Lin stared. So you have only properly met twice. That is right. Lu Lin fell silent. No wonder she had eaten so quickly. Few people would feel relaxed eating alongside near strangers. He sighed and picked up his chopsticks. Ji Xiangdong likewise began eating and marveled over the preserved vegetable pork. This dish is perfectly seasoned. You ought to try it. Elsewhere, Fu Qingli left the restaurant, found a secluded spot, entered her space, altered her appearance, and went to the black market. She wandered around hoping to find vegetable seeds. By good fortune, she came upon an elderly woman selling a wide variety of seeds plus a small amount of wild greens. Fu Qingli squatted by the stall and pointed. How much for these? The old woman brightened at a customer and spoke cautiously. Cabbage seeds are 10 fin a packet. Radish seeds 30 fin. Coriander seeds 2 fin. Scallion seeds 5 fin. Cucumber, kidney bean and green pepper seeds 80 fin. Tomato seeds 1 yuan. I can give you a discount if you buy a lot. I will take all of them. Please wrap them up. Overjoyed, the woman hurried to bundle everything. That comes to 3 yuan and 7 fin. You can pay just 3 yuan. Very well. Fu Qingli handed over 3 yuan. Thank you so much, the woman said gratefully. You're welcome. You earned it. Fu Qingli turned and left the black market. Tears welled in the old woman's eyes. At last she had money. Her little grandson would survive. With the money she hurried to a nearby meat stall and bought over 2 jin of fatty pork. Clutching it tightly, she thought of her daughter-in-law. Rich fat would help her produce milk for the hungry infant. She had gambled on selling her home-saved seeds, and heaven had answered her prayers. Making sure she was not followed, she rushed home. Outside the market, Fu Qingli found seclusion and stored the seeds in her space. Using her mind she called, Kaier, plant these seeds for me. Though unfamiliar with many of them, Kaier sorted and sowed them in separate plots. Fu Qingli smiled. Well done, Kyer. Encouraged by the praise, Kyer tended the garden and grain plots. Remembering how often its master spoke of fresh vegetables, it added a drop of spiritual, spring water to the soil. Already accelerated by the space's environment, the seeds sprouted, bloomed, and bore fruit almost instantly. Grain shot upward and formed full ears. Delighted by the fully mature crops, Kyer circled excitedly. Master will surely be pleased. Fu Qingli knew nothing of this miraculous growth. She turned to head back, then reconsidered. Since she was already in town, she might as well go back to the state, run restaurant, and take away more braised pork and other favorite dishes. She muttered to herself, hoping she would not run into those men again. Who tried to sit at your table when you barely knew them? Just then 2 dejected young men emerged from the black market. She overheard their quiet conversation. What do we do? Without 100-year-old ginseng, our captain will not last another half-month. We have to keep searching. One clapped the other on the shoulder. But we have combed the black market and nearby cities. Where can we find century-old ginseng? Black Bear, you said this northern province abounds in ginseng. Black Bear sighed. Do you forget the Great Famine? People dug up every edible plant on the mountains back then. There is little chance of finding old-growth ginseng. We came here only to take a gamble. If we fail, he did not finish the sentence. Hawk looked utterly defeated. Is our captain doomed to lie unconscious? He is only 25. Fu Qingli pricked up her ears. 100-year-old ginseng? Her space had an abundance of them. The 2 men bore the bearing of soldiers, and their code names suggested special forces background. She was willing to offer help. She stepped close and spoke softly. Are you looking for ginseng? Black Bear and Hawk tensed, sweat breaking out. Someone had approached them completely undetected. They had kept their voices low. How had she heard? Do not be alarmed, Fu Qingli said. If I meant you harm, you would not still be standing here. Hawk clenched his fists. Who are you? Someone who can save your captain's life. You need ginseng? Follow me. They exchanged wary glances and did not move. Are you going to let your captain die? That spurred them. We will go with you. Good. She led them to a quiet out of the way corner. Wait here. Then she walked off. What do you make of her? Hawk asked. She got close to 2 trained operatives without us noticing. If she wanted us dead, we would already be gone. Her aura reminds me of our captain, Black Bear replied. Hawk fell silent. Meanwhile, out of their sight, Fu Qingli slipped into her space. She stopped short seeing the fully grown vegetables and grain beside the brook. How could they have matured so fast? Kaya flew over. Surprise! I added some spiritual spring water. All the vegetables you wanted are ready for you to harvest. Fu Qingli stroked its little head. Thank you for your hard work, Kyer. I am very pleased. As long as Master is happy. She walked to the medicinal herb field, selected a relatively young 100-year-old ginseng root, and placed it inside a wooden box. Before leaving the space, she picked up a military canteen, added 1 drop of spiritual spring water, and filled it. For the sake of your being soldiers, I shall give you this. Whether he survives depends on his fate. She rejoined the 2 men still waiting in the corner and handed them the box and canteen. Boil this ginseng using water from this canteen. It will raise his chance of regaining consciousness. Do not waste the water. If you misuse it and he does not wake, do not come blaming me. With that she turned and departed. Black Bear stared at the box and canteen in his hands. By the time he reacted, she was gone. Wait, we never paid her. Check the ginseng first. Is it really a 100-year-old specimen? Hawk urged. Black Bear opened the box. Seeing the well-formed human-shaped root, he quickly closed the lid and glanced around for onlookers before tucking it inside his coat. This is far older than 100 years. He stared at the canteen. Who on earth was that woman? This ginseng still smells of fresh earth. She is no ordinary person. Saving their captain came first. Though she had disguised herself, he could tell she was young. He would recognize her if they ever met again, and they would repay the favor. Then he and Hawk set off haste back for the capital city. On the other side, after Fu Qingli walked out of the sight of the 2 people, she entered her spatial storage, removed her disguise, and then headed to the state-run restaurant. She ordered 5 portions of braised pork, 5 portions of sweet and sour spare ribs, 5 portions of braised carp, plus 20 steamed buns. She then rode her bicycle back to Kaoshan Production Brigade. When she was nearly at the brigade, she stored the bicycle in her space and walked toward the Educated Youth Compound. It was the end of the work shift, and many passers-by greeted Fu Qingli. Just then, a young man stepped up to Fu Qingli. "Hello, educated youth Fu. My name is Zhao Debao. Thank you for the fish, I enjoyed it very much." With that, he turned and left. Fu Qingli stared at the retreating Zhao Debao, thoroughly confused. What was wrong with this man? He had introduced himself and told her he liked the fish. She paid little mind to this odd incident and soon arrived at the backyard of the educated youth compound. Bai Tingting watched Fu Qingli come back. After waiting for a while and seeing that Fu Qingli did not start cooking, she took one steamed corn bun from her own ration and walked toward the backyard. Su Hui spotted Bai Tingting leaving with a bun. "Where are you going?" Su Hui asked instinctively. Bai Tingting gave an awkward smile. Educated youth Fu got back so late and hasn't cooked. I thought I'd give her one of my steamed corn buns. She lowered her head shyly and mumbled, "I just hope she won't look down on it." Meng Hongbing and the others watched her cautious manner, frowned, and said nothing. Bai Tingting walked up to Fu Qingli's door and knocked. "Educated youth Fu, are you in there?" Fu Qingli frowned at the voice. This woman really was like a dog's sticky plaster, yet she still opened the door. She saw Bai Tingting holding out a steamed corn bun. "Educated youth Fu, I noticed you didn't cook lunch, so I brought you this bun. Please eat it." "I'm fine, I've already eaten," Fu Qingli said, moving to close the door. Bai Tingting grabbed the door, eyes glistening with tears. "Educated youth Fu, do you hate me?" "You are quite perceptive," Fu Qingli replied. Bai Tingting was struck speechless. How could she speak to her like that? Her eyes welled up. "Why do you dislike me so much?" "I have done nothing to wrong you. I brought you food because I thought you had no lunch. Why are you being so cold toward me?" Tears streamed down her cheeks. Guo Chang and Wang Yu, who had come out for a stroll after lunch, witnessed the scene and frowned. "Educated youth Fu, educated youth Bai was kind enough to bring you food. How can you treat her like this?" Fu Qingli looked at the two young men. "Which one of your eyes saw me mistreating her?" Bai Tingting quickly cut in. "Guo Chang, Wang Yu, you misunderstand. Educated youth Fu hasn't wronged me, it is my fault for upsetting her." She wiped her tears. "I am sorry for irritating you, educated youth Fu. You should not have to eat such coarse food anyway." Guo Chang and Wang Yu glanced at the steamed corn bun in Bai Tingting's hands, their brows drawn tight. "Educated youth Fu, that is unfair. Educated youth Bai went out of her way to bring you food. How can you turn your nose up at it? Many people do not have enough to eat these days. This single bun could save a life. Instead of showing gratitude, you reject her kindness," Wang Yu said. Fu Qingli found their words ridiculous. "Does refusing food automatically mean I scorn it? Where is that rule written? I told her clearly I had already eaten, yet she kept pushing the bun on me. What was she trying to do?" She looked straight at Wang Yu and Guo Chang. "I barely know either of you. Do not speak to me in such a lecturing tone in future, or I will not hold back." She shifted her gaze to Bai Tingting. "Leave me alone. I do not want to see you again." Before Bai Tingting or the two men could reply, Fu Qingli slammed the door shut. Behind the closed door, Bai Tingting rolled her eyes inwardly. If she were not curious about Fu Qingli's unusual background, she would never bother currying favor with her. Fine, starve for all she cared. She turned toward Guo Chang and Wang Yu, her eyes once more watery. "I am sorry you got caught up in this and were scolded." She tore the steamed corn bun in half and offered each man a piece. "Please take these, if you do not mind." With that, she ran off crying. Guo Chang and Wang Yu stared at the half pieces of bun in their hands. What a kind-hearted girl, they thought. How could educated youth Fu treat her so harshly? They decided they would look out for Bai Tingting from then on and keep her from being bullied. For the next half-month, Zhao Debao kept finding excuses to linger near Fu Qingli, and she grew thoroughly annoyed. One morning after washing up and finishing breakfast, she set off for the brigade headquarters. Strangely, villagers pointed and whispered as she passed. Some snickered behind their hands, while others called out, "Congratulations! Do not forget to buy us a wedding drink when the time comes." Confused, Fu Qingli stopped Wang Xiuqin, the brigade leader's wife. "Aunt Wang, what is going on? Why is everyone acting like this toward me?" "Child, word has spread that happy news is coming your way. Why keep it a secret?" Wang Xiuqin said. "What happy news?" Fu Qingli frowned. Seeing Fu Qingli's dark expression, Wang Xiuqin's heart sank. Had the Zhao family started rumors? "Word is that Zhao Debao says you two are courting and plan to get married soon." Right after she spoke, Zhao Debao walked over holding 2 eggs and held them out to Fu Qingli. "Educated youth Fu, have these eggs." Onlookers laughed and teased. "Look at Debao, already doting on his future wife ahead of the wedding. Laughter erupted. Zhao Debao pretended to be flustered. Stop your joking. Qingqing will get embarrassed. The crowd laughed louder. He is already calling her Qingqing before they are even married. Before the laughter faded, a sharp crack rang out. Zhao Debao was sent flying several meters by a hard slap. When he hit the ground, blood spilled from his mouth mixed with several broken teeth. The jeering crowd fell completely silent. One elderly woman stammered, What just happened? I thought there was to be a wedding. Why is there fighting? The woman beside her tugged at her sleeve and shook her head. Everyone could now see what was really happening. Fu Qingli walked slowly over to Zhao Debao and planted her foot firmly on his chest, pressing down hard. Who gave you permission to spread lies about me? She understood how critical reputation was in this era and held nothing back with her blow. Under her weight, Zhao Debao's eyes rolled back in his head. Zhao Debao instantly regretted his father's scheme. This woman was fierce, flying into violence over words. Even if he married her, he would never be able to control her, and he would likely suffer harm himself. Trembling, he gasped, It is not my fault. Everyone misunderstood. It is just gossip. Old Lady Lu shouted at him. Zhao Debao, listen to yourself. We did not make this up. Your mother bragged at work that her son would marry an educated youth. How dare you shift all the blame onto us? Other villagers chimed in. Exactly. You kept dropping hints that you and educated youth Fu returned each other's feelings. I wondered how she could ever take a fancy to you. Now it is clear you are just reaching for what you can never have. Shameless man. Zhao Laozhen and son Zhaodi rushed over upon hearing the commotion. Seeing their son lying injured on the ground, they flew into a rage. Son Zhaodi charged toward Fu Qingli, fists raised. You wretch! How dare you hurt my boy, I will beat you. Fu Qingli kicked her hard, sending son Zhaodi tumbling several meters across the dirt. She rolled over a few times, coughed up blood, and fainted. Villagers swallowed hard, relieved that blow had not landed on them. Zhao Laozhen stared at his unconscious wife and his son pinned beneath Fu Qingli's foot. Enraged, he grabbed a shovel and charged forward. The brigade leader arrived just in time. Horrified, he lunged forward and wrenched the shovel out of Zhao Laogan's hands. What do you think you are doing? He spun toward Fu Qingli and sighed in relief when he saw she was unharmed. He turned a stern gaze on Zhao Laozhen. Explain yourself. Who said you could attack people? Zhao Laozhen quickly fabricated a story. Brigade leader, this city, educated youth looks down on country folk. She was seeing my son but forbade anyone from speaking of it. My wife accidentally let the secret slip, so she attacked my boy. You must give us justice. The brigade leader barely contained his exasperation. Educated youth Fu would never set her sights on someone like Zhao Debao, plain, looking and unimposing though his own family thought him wonderful. Fu Qingli tilted her lips into a cold smile and looked down at Zhao Debao beneath her foot. So you and I are supposedly courting? Terrified by her icy stare, Zhao Debao shook all over. And no. No what? We are not courting. Then why does your father claim we are? Sweat poured down Zhao Debao's forehead, and he stammered, unable to give a straight answer. Fu Qingli pressed her foot harder. A crunch echoed, and Zhao Debao turned deathly pale, drenched in cold sweat from the agony. Can you speak honestly now? The brigade leader wiped sweat from his forehead, shocked that Fu Qingli had broken one of Zhao Debao's bones. Educated youth Fu, please calm down. I will see this matter properly resolved. What resolution do you have in mind? Fu Qingli asked. They will make a public apology and admit they spread false rumors about your relationship. That is all. The brigade leader looked confused. What else should there be? In the village, such matters were always settled this way. I want them to learn what the consequences are for slandering another person. She squatted down and patted Zhao Debao's cheek. Speak. Who told you to spread lies about me? In terrible pain and terrified of further harm, Zhao Debao confessed. It was my father. He said you took the brigade accountant post, that should have been mine. He told me to ruin your reputation. The brigade leader shouted angrily. Nonsense. Even without you, that post would never go to you. How dare you claim it was stolen from you? Zhao Debao flinched and went on. Father said once your reputation was ruined, you would have no choice but to marry me. After we wed, you would hand the accountant work over to me. Fu Qingli lifted her foot off Zhao Debao. She pulled out a handkerchief and carefully wiped every one of her fingers. She turned to the brigade leader. Send word to the commune. Have the Revolutionary Committee come to investigate. The brigade leader's head swam. To fall into the hands of the Revolutionary Committee meant severe punishment. Educated youth Fu, they have already suffered beatings. Can we not let this rest? They are still villagers of our brigade. Several villagers also tried to persuade her. As the brigade leader says, they have been punished already. A public apology should suffice. Do not drag the Revolutionary Committee into this. That will not do. If no one sends for them, I will go to the commune myself and report this. Realizing she meant every word and mindful of her mysterious background, the brigade leader sighed and ordered a man. Go to the commune and fetch people from the Revolutionary Committee. Villagers gasped. She was ruthless. Fear flickered across their faces as they looked at Fu Qingli. At the mention of the Revolutionary Committee, Zhao Debao scrambled to his feet despite his injuries. I beg you, educated youth Fu, please do not call them. I know I was wrong. Sun Zhaodi, who had just regained consciousness, fainted again upon hearing those words. Villagers felt pity for the miserable, looking family and wanted to plead for mercy, but the brigade leader shook his head at them, and they held their tongues. Zhao Laozhen roared in fury. How can you be so cruel? This was only a scheme. You came to no real harm. Why must you destroy our whole family? You may have attempted the scheme, that fact does not change just because your plot failed. I escaped harm only because I am strong enough to defend myself. Think what would have happened if I had not been. Everyone here knows what becomes of a young woman whose reputation is destroyed. Greed is what brought this fate down on your family. At that moment, Bai Tingting stepped forward. Educated youth Fu, is this really necessary? We are all from the same brigade. The Zhao family never truly hurt you. Is sending them to the Revolutionary Committee going too far? The father and son from the Zhao family immediately cried for mercy. Fu Qingli ignored them and looked toward Bai Tingting. Do you live by the seashore? Bai Tingting blinked. How did you know? No wonder you feel entitled to meddle in everyone's business. Fu Qingli turned and walked away. Bai Tingting burned with anger once she caught the insult. The villagers thought over Fu Qingli's words. They recalled several female, educated youth in the brigade who had been forced into local marriages after vicious gossip destroyed their reputations. Sympathy welled up for those unfortunate women. Those women's eyes grew wet. They had lacked Fu Qingli's courage and strength and had been forced to marry the men who had ruined their names. Some husbands treated them badly, even though they themselves had started all the rumors. The wronged wives made their households chaotic. If their husbands struck them, they would sit by their beds sharpening kitchen knives through the night, until the men dared not lay a hand on them anymore. The brigade leader clapped his hands. Everyone disperse. He ordered the 3 members of the Zhao family to be tied up at brigade headquarters to wait for Revolutionary Committee officials. He dared not cross Fu Qingli. If she went straight to the commune to complain, he would suffer the consequences. The Zhao family had simply kicked a stone far harder than themselves. Zhao Xiaohua returned from gathering firewood and learned of her family's trouble. She hurried to brigade headquarters just in time to watch her parents and brother being dragged onto a truck by Revolutionary Committee staff. My family, she screamed and tried to rush forward, but the brigade leader held her back. The truck pulled away. She stared at him, bursting into tears. Why did you stop me? I need to save them. And how would you save them? The brigade leader said sternly. You know exactly what crimes they plotted. Zhao Xiaohua hung her head. She had known about her father and brother's plan. She had thought their methods were dirty, yet she had been powerless to stop them. You knew about it all along, did you not? I did, she whispered. Then they must bear the price for their choices. But educated youth Fu was not really harmed. Zhao Xiaohua lifted her head. She escaped harm only because she could protect herself. He waved her off. Go on home now. Zhao Xiaohua bit her lip, resenting Fu Qingli for being so unyielding. 3 days later, the official verdict arrived. The Zhao family was sentenced to 1 year of labor re-education on a farm in the northwest. News spread through the village. Some villagers murmured that the punishment was overly harsh. Wiser residents retorted, harsh? They plotted vicious harm. They ought to have thought of consequences beforehand. They brought this entirely upon themselves. They sighed for the several wronged female, educated youth in the brigade. Gao Hong, Wang Lily and Mo Fongfong teared up hearing the villagers' pity. They exchanged determined glances. They would seek divorces from their husbands and fight for the chance to return to the city. As they passed Fu Qingli, they gave her quiet, grateful smiles. Fu Qingli nodded back at them. Ignoring the buzz of surrounding conversation, Fu Qingli headed for brigade headquarters. By the river, she came across village chief's daughter Lu Xiangling and another local girl named Tao Hua. Lu Xiangling's face lit up when she spotted her. Educated youth Fu, are you heading for the threshing ground? The road to brigade headquarters did run past the threshing ground, so Fu Qingli nodded slightly. Wonderful. Tao Hua and I are going that way too. We can walk together. In her past life, Fu Qingli had barely spoken to these two girls, and they had had little contact in this lifetime as well. She wondered why they were suddenly being so friendly. Lu Xiangling chattered non-stop about village happenings along the path, and Tao Hua added a short comment every now and then. Listening to her rambling, Fu Qingli remembered something important. If her memory served her right, in 3 days' time, Lu Xiangling and Tao Hua would go up the mountain to collect firewood. Night would fall, and they would not return home. The village chief would organize villagers to search the mountains late into the night. In the end, only blood, stained clothes, and shoes would be found. Everyone would conclude the two girls had been killed by wild beasts deep in the mountains. The village chief would collapse from grief. His wife would lose her sanity from the tragedy. Tao Hua's parents would fall seriously ill from sorrow. After that disaster, villagers dared no longer venture deep into the mountains for firewood and only gathered fuel near the foothills. Fu Qingli glanced sideways at Lu Xiangling and Tao Hua walking beside her. She would have to go up the mountain 3 days from now. They soon reached the threshing ground. Fu Qingli bid them farewell and continued to brigade headquarters. Shortly afterward, the brigade leader, village chief, and several commune members filed into the room. The brigade leader saw Fu Qingli was already present and addressed the group. Everyone is here. Let us begin our meeting. He laid the account book compiled by Fu Qingli on the table. It was mid-April and sowing season would arrive in May. The brigade had ample funds this year, so they would replace worn-out supplies wherever possible. The fish we caught earlier sold for 123 yuan and 10 cents. The money has gone into the brigade public reserve fund. Let us discuss how best to spend it. Fu Qingli offered her opinion. First priority should be purchasing 2 bundles of new farm tools. Most of our old plowshares are heavily worn and close to useless. Many hoes have cracked edges. We will need good tools for plowing this spring. She had carefully inventoried all the brigade's tools and knew exactly what was broken and what could still be used. The women's committee chair nodded in agreement. New tools are essential. Also, our livestock shed is full of gaps. The roof is rotting badly. Spring rains are coming, and our animals will fall ill from exposure. We should spend part of the money buying timber and thatch to repair the shed. One deputy production brigade leader tapped his tobacco pipe and thought aloud. We also need improved corn seed. Last year's seed gave poor yields. We ought to buy better, quality seed stock. Everyone chipped in, voicing their thoughts one after another. Sitting at the head of the table, old village chief listened quietly to the discussion. He raised his hand and tapped the tabletop gently. We need to buy farm tools, repair the livestock shed, and stock up on high-quality seeds. $123.10 seems like a large sum, but spread across various expenses, it will not last long. He lifted his eyes and scanned the crowd. This money is unexpected income for the production brigade. It must be used exclusively for its intended purpose. Fully invested in brigade production. Not a single cent may be misappropriated privately, nor can it be directly distributed as cash to individual commune members. Every entry in the accounts must be recorded in detail. All expenditures shall be made public to the entire village to stop groundless speculation and gossip behind people's backs. The brigade leader responded at once. What the village chief said is right. We will follow this plan. I will draw up a procurement list to submit to the commune for approval. In a few days, we will head into town to buy supplies. Old village chief nodded in agreement. Seeing no further questions from the others, the brigade leader announced the meeting adjourned. Everyone then set about their respective tasks, getting busy. Fu Qingli stayed behind at the brigade office. She double-checked the previous day's accounts. Once she confirmed there were no mistakes, she locked the account book away. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. When Fu Qingli caught sight of Zhao Fujuan, she suddenly remembered what she had forgotten. She quietly slipped a supernatural ability seed into Zhao Fujuan's coat pocket and established a mental link with it using her powers. This way, she would know whatever Zhao Fujuan did. Less than a day later, the supernatural ability seed sent her information. Through the connection, she saw Zhao Fujuan sneak out of the male educated youth dormitory at 9 o'clock at night. Witnessing this, Fu Qingli immediately exited her inner space and followed behind him unhurriedly. Before long, Zhao Fujuan reached the spot where he had met Brother Wang last time. Spotting Brother Wang, Zhao Fujuan hurried forward. "Brother Wang, you summoned me in such a hurry. Are we moving the goods?" The man known as Brother Wang nodded. "That's right. We had planned to wait a while longer, but our superiors are pressing hard. We have to go ahead with the original plan. This time, your target is 3 to 5 people." Zhao Fujuan was greatly shocked. "What? 3 to 5 people? That won't do. If this many people go missing all at once, it will cause a huge stir. We will easily arouse suspicion." Brother Wang frowned. "Find a way to make it work. The buyers are pushing us and they're offering a very generous price." He held up one finger and waved it. Zhao Fujuan stared at the finger and swallowed hard. "That much?" Brother Wang nodded. "Exactly." Zhao Fujuan took a deep breath. "Fine. I will do my best." The man clapped him on the shoulder. "I have faith in you. Tomorrow night at 10, meet me at our usual place." Brother Wang then handed a wrapped parcel to Zhao Fujuan. Zhao Fujuan took it, quickly tucked it inside his clothes, and replied, "Understood." The two parted ways and went their separate directions. Only after they were far away did Fu Qingli step slowly out from behind a tree. She gazed at their retreating figures, cold glint flashing in her eyes. She had never expected Zhao Fujuan to be a human trafficker. She had truly underestimated him. "You'd better hope my abduction in my past life had nothing to do with you." She then turned and headed back toward the educated youth compound. Checking the time, she lay down on the warm jade bed inside her space. Yet her sleep was far from peaceful. In her dream, she received news of her grandfather's passing. She rushed to the brigade leader to get a travel permit, packed a few simple belongings, and hurried for the station. On the train, she was knocked unconscious. When she woke, her hands and feet were bound, and she was thrown inside a run-down room with several other tied-up women. She struggled desperately, begging her captors to let her go so she could see her grandfather one last time. All she got in return was beatings. Eventually, she was sold deep into the mountains to an unmarried middle-aged man. That same night, the man tried to force himself on her. She fought back fiercely and injured him badly. Hearing the commotion, his family burst into the room. Seeing the man collapsed on the ground in agony, they beat her brutally. Since the man could no longer harm her, his family began mistreating her. They broke her legs, cut out her tongue, and disfigured her face. But suffering did not break her spirit. Whenever anyone drew near, she fought back with whatever she could grab, hitting, smashing, biting. When she could not reach them, she banged her head wildly against the wall until blood streamed down her face. Terrified by her ferocity, the family kept their distance, which gave her a chance to escape. After countless hardships, she made her way back to Beijing. What she saw there shattered her heart. Her father and 2 elder brothers were gathered around Fu Qingyao, all getting along happily. Blinded by rage, she threw herself at Fu Qingyao and tried to attack her. Her own family treated her like a lunatic, beat her, and threw her outside. Her heart turned to ice as she met her father's and brother's gazes, looks as though she were trash. She laughed soundlessly. Trash indeed. What difference is there between me and trash now? Dragging her broken body, she lay down under a bridge. It would be better to die like this. She coughed up a mouthful of blood and gradually stopped breathing. Watching these events unfold in her dream, Fu Qingli burned with fury. She wanted to leap forward and tear those people apart. Yet she could do nothing. She could only watch helplessly as her past self suffered. Rage surged within her, and her supernatural powers stirred along with her emotions. Sensing that something was wrong, Kair quickly flew up to the 3rd floor. Seeing her master trapped in a nightmare, she called out urgently, "Master, wake up." Fu Qingli showed no sign of stirring despite repeated calls. Growing desperate, Kaya pecked her hand. A bead of blood welled up at once. Fu Qingli jolted awake, killing intent and hatred plain in her eyes. Kair trembled at the sight of her master's expression. Good heavens, master's eyes look so terrifying. She shrank her small body and covered her head beneath her wings. Once Fu Qingli registered her surroundings, she took several deep breaths, trying hard to calm herself in her mind. It was all in the past. Those terrible things would never happen again. She would protect herself and never let herself be harmed. Little by little, her emotions steadied. She looked toward Kair beside her. "I am all right. Thank you, Kair." Hearing this, Kaya uncovered her head with her wings. Master, what caused you such great emotional distress? Nothing, Fu Qingli answered. I merely dreamed of some terrible events. She checked the time. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. She stepped out of her inner space and felt the heated brick bed. It was still warm. She lay down and slept in her small room. This time, she had no more bad dreams. Daybreak came soon. Fu Qingli heated water to wash, freshened up, drank a cup of malted milk, dropped by the brigade office briefly, and then headed up the mountain. As she walked, she paused now and then and caught 2 hares. She tossed them into her inner space and instructed Kair, watch over them. Don't let them run loose. Kair, rest assured, master. At that moment, Fu Qingli spotted Lu Xiangling and Tao Hua heading up the mountain together to collect firewood. They carried a pheasant in their hands and chatted merrily as they walked. They were less than 5 meters away. If they had lifted their heads, they would have seen Fu Qingli. But they were too absorbed in their conversation and noticed nothing. A faint medicinal scent drifted to her nose. Fu Qingli's lips curved slightly. Here it comes. The next instant, the 2 girls who had been laughing and talking went limp and crumpled to the ground. Fu Qingli pretended to have been overcome by the drug as well and slowly lay down on the earth. Ordinary drugs had no real effect on someone with supernatural abilities like her. Roughly 2 minutes later, Zhao Fujuan stepped out from behind the trees. When he saw Fu Qingli lying on the ground not far away, his brows drew tight. This educated youth was different from ordinary villagers. If she went missing, higher authorities would launch a thorough investigation. What was more, Fu Qingli had come from Beijing. The risk was far too great, and he dared not touch her. He stepped forward, slung Lu Xiangling over his back, then returned a moment later to carry Tao Hua. Through the link from the supernatural ability seed, Fu Qingli watched Zhao Fujuan place Lu Xiangling and Tao Hua inside a mountain cave. Shortly afterward, he carried a young boy into the cave as well. Once he had finished, he blocked the cave entrance with debris and turned to leave. Fu Qingli felt confused. How could he have completely overlooked her lying there in plain sight? Was he blind? She stood up and used the seed to track Zhao Fujuan's movements. He was heading down the mountain. Fu Qingli thought to herself, he really is blind. Walking downhill, Zhao Fujuan suddenly shuddered. He glanced back toward the deep mountains, with an odd feeling that eyes were watching him. He quickened his pace and hurried back to the village. Certain Zhao Fujuan was far enough away, Fu Qingli walked to the cave and moved aside the branches covering its entrance. She stepped inside and gently shook the unconscious people. They were only in a deep drugged sleep and had sustained no physical injuries. Relieved, she thought for a moment, took another supernatural ability seed, and slipped it into Lu Xiangling's pocket to establish a new connection. She restored the cave's camouflage and set off downhill for the commune. At the public security office, Fu Qingli spoke to a clerk. Comrade, could you please find Comrade Ji Xiangdong for me? Before the clerk could ask for her identity, a surprised voice sounded behind her. Comrade Fu? Is that you? Fu Qingli turned around and saw Ji Xiangdong. Ji Xiangdong looked at his colleague who had been attending to her. Shaoli, this is a friend of mine. Next time she comes looking for me, bring her straight to my office. The young man called Shaoli nodded. Ji Xiangdong hurried over. Comrade Fu, what brings you to the public security office? Has something happened? Fu Qingli wasted no time and lowered her voice. Comrade Ji, I have an urgent report to make. It is extremely important. Can we speak somewhere private? Seeing her grave expression, Ji Xiangdong realized the matter was serious at once. Follow me. They soon entered Ji Xiangdong's office and shut the door to keep their conversation private. Fu Qingli came straight to the point. Last night, I happened to see Zhao Fujuan from the educated youth compound sneak out after dark. Curious, I followed him. I overheard him meeting a man known as Brother Wang. They spoke of moving goods with a target of 3 to 5 people and planned to complete the transaction tomorrow night at 10. Ji Xiangdong's expression turned sharp. Moving goods, 3 to 5 people. That is underworld slang. Could these men be human traffickers? Fu Qingli nodded. That is correct. To confirm, I went up the mountain this morning. I witnessed Zhao Fujuan drug 2 young women and a small boy, then hide them in a cave in the back hills. Ji Xiangdong's face grew solemn. Come with me. He led Fu Qingli to Lu Lin's office and repeated everything she had just told him. Lu Lin frowned as he listened. He knew this young woman was bold. She had dared visit the cowshed after dark, yet he had never imagined she would follow suspects all on her own. Had she been discovered, the consequences would have been terrible. The thought of what might have happened if she had been abducted troubled him deeply. He looked at Fu Qingli, his tone heavy. If you encounter something like this again, do not take action by yourself. Come straight to the public security office for me. I will verify the facts. Never take such reckless risks. He went on. We will look into what you have reported. If your information is true, we will use tomorrow night's transaction as an opportunity to capture the entire human trafficking ring. I will go with you to Kaoshan Brigade right now. After we inspect the scene, we will draw up a plan. Fu Qingli said, very well. Ji Xiangdong spoke up immediately. I am coming too. Lu Lin replied, if both of us leave, who will tend to the office? He then said to Fu Qingli, let us go. He left no time for Ji Xiangdong to argue. By the time Ji Xiangdong reacted, Fu Qingli was already walking away with Lu Lin. Fu Qingli paid no mind to who accompanied her to Kaoshan Brigade. Lu Lin wheeled out a bicycle. I apologize, Comrade Fu. This is the only bicycle available at the office at the moment. If you do not mind, I can give you a ride on the back. Thank you for your trouble, Fu Qingli said. Without unnecessary shyness, she sat down on the rear seat. Once she was settled, Lu Lin pushed off with his long legs, and the bicycle rolled along the dirt road. Before long, they reached Kaoshan Brigade. Guided by Fu Qingli, they took a narrow mountain path toward the back hills. As they were approaching the cave, Fu Qingli heard soft footsteps. She quickly pulled Lu Lin aside, and the two hid in cover. Lu Lin thought to himself, her reflexes are outstanding. She would make an excellent soldier. A man carrying a young woman came into view. He reached the cave entrance, glanced around to make certain no one was nearby, and carried the woman inside. A short while later, he walked out alone. Once he was gone for good, Fu Qingli whispered to Lu Lin, that is Zhao Fujuan from the Educated Youth Compound. Lu Lin nodded. After Zhao Fujuan had vanished completely, they slipped into the cave. Lu Lin checked the people lying inside. He confirmed they were only drugged and bore no physical wounds, and felt some relief. He turned to Fu Qingli. Your report is accurate. I must organize our operation now. We aim to arrest every member of this trafficking group. We cannot move the people in the cave for the time being, or we will tip the criminals off. I will notify their families and prepare them for what has happened. I must hurry back to the commune to assemble men. You must not remain on this mountain. It is too dangerous. Fu Qingli answered, understood. They exited the cave, carefully restored its original covering, and went their separate ways. Fu Qingli wandered the mountain a while longer, then descended carrying 2 bundles of firewood. Back in the backyard of the Educated Youth Compound, she shut her door and took a hare out from her inner space. She quickly skinned and butchered the animal and cooked spicy braised hare. When the other educated youth returned from work at noon, rich meat fragrance drifted across the yard. They hurried into the kitchen. When they saw sweet potato congee laid out on the table, their faces fell. The older, educated youth accepted the situation. They picked up bowls, filled them with thin congee, and ate with pickled vegetables. Though the newer, educated youth were displeased, seeing the older ones already eating, they followed suit. Bai Tingting watched everyone begin their meal. She bit her lip, filled her own bowl with congee, and took a few sips. The thin porridge left her hungrier, especially with the tempting smell of meat filling the air. Suddenly, she slammed her bowl down on the table and shouted, "Why is it like this? We are all educated youth sent down to the countryside. Why does Fu Qingli get to eat fine food and work as brigade accountant? It is unfair. We all live in this same compound. Why must she keep all good food for herself?" Other educated youth already dissatisfied with Fu Qingli set down their chopsticks. Exactly. We share this compound. How can she keep such good food all to herself? Gu Chang looked toward Meng Hongbing. Brother Meng, you are the head of our educated youth group. Are you going to do nothing about this? All eyes turned to Meng Hongbing. Su Hui squeezed her chopsticks in her hand. She wanted to speak, but in the end she said nothing. Meng Hongbing set down his bowl and chopsticks in the face of their indignation. What am I supposed to do? She lives alone and cooks separately. What authority do I have over her? Gu Chang insisted, still, we cannot let her get away with hoarding good food. Meng Hongbing envied Fu Qingli's position as brigade accountant, yet he was not foolish enough to step forward as the troublemaker. In the mountains, whoever caught game such as hares or pheasants kept it for themselves. The village turned a blind eye to this rule. One hare or pheasant was far too little to share with the whole village. Meng Hongbing glanced at them. I am finished eating. Help yourselves. He left for the dormitory. Seeing Meng Hongbing refuse to intervene, everyone's gaze shifted to Su Hui. She smiled awkwardly and put down her chopsticks. I am full. She returned to the female dormitory. They looked at one another, sighed, and went back to their thin congee. Furious that no one dared confront Fu Qingli, Bai Tingting stamped her foot, dropped her utensils, and ran to the female dormitory. She buried her face in her quilt. She could not understand why Fu Qingli disliked her, no matter how hard she tried to please her. The thought of all the fine food Fu Qingli enjoyed made her mouth water. Damn it. She could catch hares and pheasants too. For that reason, she skipped afternoon work and asked Su Hui to ask leave for her. Su Hui glanced at Bai Tingting and agreed. It was not peak farming season, work was light, and getting leave was easy. That afternoon, Bai Tingting climbed the mountain alone. She wandered for a long time, but spotted neither pheasants nor hares. In the end, she returned to the compound carrying only 2 bundles of firewood. Night fell and everyone came back from work. Old village chief kept glancing toward the gate. Where was Xiangling? He turned to his wife Lu Guifin. Guifin, how long has Xiangling been out? Why has she not come home yet? Lu Guifin studied the darkening sky. She must have gone over to Tahua's house again. She called to her young grandson. Xiaohu, run over to Tahua's house and fetch your aunt back. Xiaohu answered, yes, grandma. He soon came running back. Grandpa, grandma, Aunt Xiangling is not at Tahua's house. Village chief Lao Zhang shot to his feet at these words. What did you say? Your aunt isn't at Tahua's place? Then where has she gone? Just then, Tahua's parents hurried over. Catching sight of the village chief, they spoke quickly. Village chief, what is going on? Haven't the 2 girls come back down the mountain yet? Where could they be? Could they be in danger? When Lu Guifin heard her daughter Lu Xiangling was not at Taohua's house, she thought of the old hunters in the village and her vision swam. Quick! Gather people to search the mountains. Lu Xiangling's eldest and second sons turned and prepared to rush out to look for her. At that very moment, 2 strangers stepped through the gate. Lu Zhenxing, Xiangling's eldest brother, and Lu Zhenbang, the second brother, frowned at the newcomers. Who are you looking for? Ji Xiangdong looked at them. Hello. We're from the County Public Security Group, the predecessor of today's police station. My name is Ji Xiangdong and this is my comrade Li Tong. We need to discuss certain matters with you. At the mention of the County Public Security Group, the old village chief jolted involuntarily and stood up hastily. Comrades, good day. I am the village chief of Kaoshan Production Brigade. What business brings you here? Ji Xiangdong glanced over the people inside the room. The old village chief then turned to the others. Everyone, step outside for a moment. Lu Zhenxing said anxiously, but father, my little sister, Ji Xiangdong cut in. Rest assured. We have come precisely because of your younger sister. Hearing this, the crowd exchanged uneasy glances. One thought hung in all their minds. Had those 2 girls sneaked off to the black market to sell goods and gotten arrested? The possibility gripped both families with dread. Speculation and private trading carried heavy penalties in this era, and none dared imagine the consequences. Lu Guifin, the village chief's wife, shot him a worried look. He waved a hand, and everyone filed out of the room. The village chief had reached the same worrisome conclusion. He looked nervously at Ji Xiangdong and Li Tong. Reading his tension, Ji Xiangdong moved to reassure him. He then recounted how Fu Qingli had uncovered the human trafficking ring at the Educated Youth Point and gone down the mountain to alert the authorities. The old village chief's vision blurred. Then, are my daughter and the others in danger? Ji Xiangdong replied, they are safe. We have made thorough preparations and mobilized extra manpower from surrounding areas to guarantee no harm comes to them. Still, we owe everything to Comrade Fu. Had she not chanced upon the plot and come for us, he left the rest unsaid. Yet the village chief understood full well what fate had awaited the girls. The thought of his daughter being sold deep into remote mountain valleys twisted his heart in agony. After collecting himself, the old village chief asked, what should I do now? Ji Xiangdong said, do not stir up trouble. The fewer people who know of this, the better. The old village chief nodded. Understood. Very well. I shall go make arrangements. Ji Xiangdong turned and left the house. As soon as he was gone, the others rushed back inside. Remembering what Ji Xiangdong had told him, the old village chief kept the truth about the human traffickers from everyone present. He turned to Tahua's parents instead. You may head home. Xiangling said she would go to the county seat to visit her aunt today and asked Tahua to keep her company. It slipped my mind as night fell. Her aunt must have seen how rare their visit was and kept them for the night. Tao Hua's parents sighed in relief. Thank goodness, thank goodness. They then headed back home. Sun Guhua shot her husband a questioning glance. She had never heard their daughter planned a trip to the county to visit her aunt. Lu Xiangling's brothers and sisters-in-law also breathed easy. As long as nothing bad has happened. Preparations for supper went ahead, yet the old village chief could barely swallow a bite. That night, he tossed and turned in bed, tormented by fear for his daughter's safety. Lu Guifin jabbed him. Old man, why cannot you lie still and sleep? You keep shifting about. Unable to rest, he quietly got up and sat outside. Presently, his youngest son stepped out of his room. Lu Zhenbang spotted his father and hurried over, lowering his voice. Father, is something wrong with Xiangling? The old village chief said nothing. Lu Zhenbang sat down beside him. Tell me, is something bad happening to my little sister? My heart has been pounding non-stop. When his father stayed silent, he pressed on. Do not keep it from me. We are dragon and phoenix twins. When she ran a high fever long ago, I felt terrible too. Now this sense of foreboding will not go away. Did she get caught for black market dealings? Were those two men here about her? The old village chief sighed. Your sister is all right. Truly? Truly. Then why are you not sleeping? Making up an excuse, the old village chief said, your wife complains about my tossing and snoring. I am sitting out here until she falls asleep before I go back in. Lu Zhenbang eyed him doubtfully. He had never known his father to be so intimidated by his wife. Made uncomfortable by his son's stare, the old village chief grumbled. Brat, what are you gawking at? Get back to bed. All right, father. You should turn in soon as well. Once Lu Zhenbang had gone inside, the old village chief sighed and followed. Back in his room, Lu Zhenbang could not sleep. He turned restlessly, convinced his sister was in trouble, though he could not fathom why his father would hide the truth. Elsewhere, Lu Yukai was settling down for the night with his wife Zhou Liandi when she suddenly pushed him away, recalling something important. Lu Yukai stared in surprise. What is the matter? Have you seen Taidan? Zhou Liandi asked. Irritated, Lu Yukai answered, I saw him at his grandmother's place this morning. That rascal is surely asleep over there. Stop worrying. He tried to draw her close. Zhou Liandi resisted his grasp, frustrated. He is your own son. You ought to go check on him. What is there to check? He will not vanish at his grandmother's house. Reasoning it made sense, Zhou Liandi calmed down, and the two settled down for the night. Over at the educated youth point, Zhao Fujian waited until everyone was asleep before quietly slipping outside. He wandered through the village. Seeing no unusual commotion, he headed for the back mountain. Soon he reached the meeting spot. It was not yet 10 o'clock. He sat down on a boulder, yet a deep sense of unease lingered, as if disaster loomed. Several people in the village had gone missing, and not a single family had organized mountain searches. One household could be coincidence. Two was far too strange. He stood abruptly. This deal feels wrong. I cannot go through with it. Just as he prepared to leave, a man known as Brother Wang arrived with several companions. Catching sight of Zhao Fujian, Brother Wang said, You are quite early today. Zhao Fujian hurried forward. Brother Wang, my heart is in my throat. Something bad feels imminent. Let us call off this transaction. Brother Wang glared and swore. Call it off? Nonsense. You are just nervous. It is not that, Brother Wang. I captured 4 people from this village. Apart from Zhao Xiaohua, whose family is away, the other 3 have relatives here, and none of them are searching. Brother Wang rolled his eyes. You have lived in rural areas before. Young people stay over at one another's houses all the time. That is nothing out of the ordinary. Zhao Fujian's face paled. But I cannot shake this dread. Brother Wang grew impatient. Quit dawdling. Show us the goods. Helpless, Zhao Fujian led the group toward the cave. Inside the cave, Brother Wang shone his flashlight over the unconscious figures on the ground and nodded in satisfaction. He pulled a thick stack of 10 yuan banknotes from his canvas bag and handed it over. Take it. 100 yuan for each person. Zhao Fujian swallowed hard at the sight of so much cash. Brother Wang sneered at his greedy expression. Well? Still feeling uneasy. Embarrassed, Zhao Fujian stuffed the money inside his coat. You make fun of me, Brother Wang. Remember, stick with me and you will eat well. At his signal, his men each hoisted one unconscious victim and headed downhill. Hidden in the shadows, Lu Lin spotted their movement and silently gestured to Ji Xiangdong. Ji Xiangdong gave a slight nod and tailed the group without a sound. Meanwhile, Zhao Fujuan watched Brother Wang's party depart and let out a long breath, telling himself he had been anxious. Beneath faint moonlight, he pulled out the money to count. All at once, a dark figure lunged from behind. A large hand clamped firmly over his mouth. "Do not move. This is the County Public Security Group." At those words, Zhao Fujuan trembled and banknotes scattered across the ground. Cold handcuffs snapped around his wrists. Terror washed over him, his legs nearly giving way. He knew he was finished. Lu Lin ordered flatly, "Zhang, Lu, gag him. Take him back to the public security group. Keep noise to an absolute minimum." Zhang looked around but found no suitable cloth. He pulled off his sock and stuffed it into Zhao Fujuan's mouth. The rank, sharp stench flooded his nostrils. Zhao Fujuan's eyes rolled back and he fainted dead away. Zhang stared at the unconscious man, then glanced down at his own foot, bewildered. "Is my sock really that powerful?" Lu rolled his eyes, fighting the urge to gag inwardly, thinking privately that Zhang had no idea how foul his feet smelled. Lu Lin told them, "You two escort him back first." With that, Lu Lin and the rest hurried to catch up with Ji Xiangdong. They trailed the traffickers all the way to a remote courtyard on the outskirts of the county seat. Inside the yard, Brother Wang's voice carried, "Boss, we have brought the people." Zhao Fujuan delivered, 4 captives all at once. A deep male voice, the boss, replied, "Waste no time. Load the merchandise and get away from here quickly." Right after he spoke, several more unconscious young women were carried out of the building. Lu Lin clenched his fists, fury burning in his eyes. If not for Fu Qingli's accidental discovery, these girls would face unspeakable fates. He signaled for an assault. Ji Xiangdong and his team acknowledged, ready to storm the compound. The moment the courtyard gate swung inward, Lu Lin burst in with his men. "Do not move. Hands up. County Public Security Group." The boss's face paled. He gritted his teeth. "Damn it. They followed us." Brother Wang stepped forward urgently. "Boss, run. I will hold them off." The boss shot him a cold, narrow glance. "You had better handle this, or you will regret it." With that, he fled toward the backyard with several loyal followers. Brother Wang understood he had been abandoned. He pulled a short knife and charged Lu Lin. Lu Lin reacted instantly, delivering a sharp spinning kick to his chest. Brother Wang crashed heavily to the ground and was pinned down by Lu Lin's men. Seeing their leader captured, the rest of Brother Wang's gang panicked and were swiftly subdued. Ji Xiangdong said, "I will chase the ringleader," and sprinted in the direction the boss had fled. "Secure these prisoners," Lu Lin ordered, then raced after Ji Xiangdong. Ji Xiangdong pursued under moonlight. The ringleader, long engaged in criminal work across many regions, was fleet-footed and familiar with escape routes. He was about to clamber over a low wall. "Stop! Halt!" Ji Xiangdong shouted, speeding up. The boss glanced back, murder in his eyes. He pulled a throwing dart from his waist and hurled it toward Ji Xiangdong. "Hold him back," he ordered his companions. Ji Xiangdong dodged. The dart slammed into an earthen wall, sending fragments flying. Lu Lin arrived just in time to witness the danger. He rushed over. "Are you hurt?" Ji Xiangdong shook his head. The delay bought the boss time to scramble onto the wall. Ji Xiangdong and Lu Lin tried to give chase, but were blocked by his underlings. From the top of the wall, the boss taunted them with a crude downward gesture. As he prepared to jump down, a figure emerged silently from shadow. A heavy fist slammed into his head. Dazed and throbbing with pain, he lost his balance and tumbled off the wall. Ugh! Sharp pain shot through his knees. Before he could struggle to his feet, Lu Lin charged over, drove a knee into his lower back, and twisted both arms behind his back. Handcuffs clicked shut. "Run? Where do you think you are going?" Lu Lin panted, his voice hard. The ringleader twisted uselessly, furious. "Damn you! Cowardly sneak attack!" Fu Qingli stood quietly in the distant shadows. Her supernatural seed ability had alerted her the moment Zhao Fujuan was arrested. She had followed secretly as a precaution, and her presence had proven vital. Without drawing attention, she slipped away. Ji Xiangdong exclaimed, "Great! We have him." Lu Lin noticed the scrape on Ji Xiangdong's arm and frowned. "You ran a human trafficking ring, tearing countless families apart. You will answer for your crimes." Lu Lin and Ji Xiangdong marched the ringleader and the other 5 captives back to the front yard. Silence hung over the courtyard. Brother Wang and his gang squatted in a corner, handcuffed, offering no further resistance. Officers searched every room, uncovering ropes, knockout powders, sacks, and yellowed ledgers full of transaction records. Glancing at the ledgers, then at the unconscious victims, Lu Lin dispatched people to send the injured to the health clinic and transport the entire gang back to the public security group for separate interrogations. Meanwhile, Zhao Fujian regained consciousness in his cell. The foul stench lingered in his nose, making him retch. He lifted his head and saw Brother Wang and the rest lined up in cuffs. His face turned deathly pale, his legs trembling uncontrollably. He knew sentencing for trafficking women and children was extremely severe in this era. His life was ruined. At first, the ringleader tried to deny everything. But ledgers, witnesses, and physical evidence all existed. Once Brother Wang confessed first, piece after piece of their long-running criminal history came to light. The case was ironclad. There was nowhere left to lie. Once interrogation arrangements were finished, Lu Lin hurried to the health clinic. Pale dawn light streaked the sky. He breathed in relief and looked at Ji Xiangdong, whose arm wound was already bandaged. "How are the victims?" Ji Xiangdong replied, "They will be fine. They only inhaled excessive knockout medicine and will wake shortly." Thank goodness. Lu Lin glanced at his injury and warned gently, "Do not be so reckless next time. Bring more men when pursuing suspects." Ji Xiangdong smiled sheepishly. "I feared he would get away." He paused, confused. By the way, that ringleader had climbed the wall. How did he fall? He shouted about a sneak attack. I cannot tell if he was making it up. Lu Lin said nothing. He shared the same puzzle. He had checked the wall afterward and found no trace of anyone else. Presently, the knockout drug wore off and the victims woke one by one. Lu Xiangling opened her eyes, her head still foggy. She rubbed her temples. Where am I? I was on the mountain with Tao Hua. Ji Xiangdong stepped forward. Do not be afraid, comrade. I am from the county public security group. This is the health clinic. He explained everything that had happened. Learning she had narrowly been sold by traffickers, Lu Xiangling's eyes welled with tears. Grateful, she said, thank you all. Ji Xiangdong soothed her. The villains are all caught. You are safe. We will send word for your families to come fetch you. News quickly reached Kaoshan Production Brigade. The village chief was shocked and furious to learn Zhao Fujian was a human trafficker. Liu Yukai and Zhou Liandi only found out their son had nearly been abducted when public security group summoned them to the clinic. Villagers stared at them with strange expressions. No one could fathom how parents could fail to notice their own son was missing. At the clinic, Zhou Liandi flew into a rage at Liu Yukai. I told you to keep an eye on our son. You insisted he was safe with his mother. Look what happened. Without the public security group, we would have lost him forever. You fool. Liu Yukai knew he was in the wrong. He tried to calm her. I know I messed up. Do not make yourself ill. I will go get our son right away. He hurried into the clinic. Lu Xiangling and Tao Hua threw themselves into their family's arms, weeping. Neither could believe Zhao Fujian, who had seemed quiet and honest, was capable of such evil. Zhao Xiaohua watched the other girls be collected by their relatives. Her eyes reddened. Resentment welled up inside her toward Fu Qingli. If not for her, her own parents would be coming for her too. She would have to walk home alone. Word spread through the village that Zhao Fujian of the educated youth point was a trafficker. Villagers regarded all the educated youth with suspicion, all except Fu Qingli. Tension simmered at the educated youth point. Several youths surrounded Fu Qingli, angry. Meng Hongbing spoke first, his tone accusatory. Fu Qingli. We are all educated youth. Do you not understand we rise and fall together? Why did you report Zhao Fujian without consulting any of us? Do you realize the trouble you have brought down on all of us? Would you drag us all down over personal grudges? Fu Qingli lifted her gaze coldly and met his eyes. Why should I consult you? Because you have treated me poorly every single day? Rise and fall together? You ought to be ashamed saying that. Ever since I became brigade accountant, none of you have treated me well. Do not try to manipulate me with that argument. Leave me alone from now on, or do not blame me for being harsh. Bai Tingting seethed. Thanks to Fu Qingli, villagers stared at them as though they were monsters, pointing and keeping their distance. Su Hui looked at Fu Qingli, opening her mouth then closing it again, bewildered by how events had spiraled. Fu Qingli glanced at her and felt repulsed by her hesitation. In her past life, she had wronged Su Hui and felt guilty, believing her to be a kind, understanding friend. Now she saw clearly, Su Hui possessed some goodness, yet when her own interests were threatened, her loyalty shifted instantly. She envied Fu Qingli's position as accountant yet pretended to be friendly and helpless. Her conduct was hypocritical. Fu Qingli ignored the others and went into her room. Behind closed doors, the educated youth clenched their fists, thinking, "Just wait until you need something from us." Then they scattered. Inside her room, Fu Qingli locked the doors and windows and stepped into her spatial dimension. She went to a small stream and caught 2 fish. She also picked some chili peppers, made chopped chili fish head, steamed a bowl of rice. She enjoyed a hearty meal and then headed for Spirit Spring Well to start her cultivation. Meanwhile, Fu Qingao, who had spent nearly 20 days in a hospital in the capital city, was finally discharged. The very first thing she planned to do after leaving hospital was travel to the countryside to find Fu Qingli. When Jiang Meihua heard she intended to go to the countryside, she firmly refused to agree. Yao, no. Your health is still poor. You cannot endure long distance travel. The fatigue of the journey will harm your body. At those words, Fu Qingyao's eyes reddened and tears streamed down her cheeks. Mother, I'm fine. My older sister was sent to the countryside because of me. I cannot rest easy until I go and see her. Fu Aigua looked at her unsteady figure and sighed softly. Even if you want to go, you must fully recover first. What if something goes wrong along the way in your current state? Fu Qingyao spoke earnestly. Father, I have already recovered. Please let me go see my sister. I know in my heart that I have wronged her. Besides, Song Yang and I will be married soon. I hope to receive my sister's forgiveness and blessing. As soon as she finished speaking, she knelt down directly in front of Fu Aigua. Father, please grant my wish and let me go. Fu Aigua quickly bent down to help her stand and sighed helplessly. Very well. I will write a letter asking your sister to return to the city to attend your wedding with Song Yang. Fu Qingyao's eyes lit up at once. Really? Of course. Rest assured, I will take care of this. Having received his promise, Fu Qingyao's eyes crinkled with joy and she thanked him. Thank you, father. Yet deep in her heart, overwhelming hatred surged. She wished to tear Fu Qingli to pieces. She bowed her head in feigned shyness to hide the flash of malice in her eyes. Shortly afterward, Fu Aigua picked up his brush and wrote a letter to Fu Qingli. He put half of this month's salary into the envelope along with the letter. The letter was brief. He lied and said their grandfather missed Fu Qingli, telling her to return to the city as soon as possible and attend Fu Qingyao and Song Yang's wedding in half a month. After cultivating through the whole night, Fu Qingli slowly opened her eyes, delight sparkling in them. Wonderful, her special ability had improved again. She freshened up, made a cup of malted milk, stepped out of her spatial dimension, locked her door, and left the educated youth compound. When she passed the front yard and ran into other educated youths staying there, she paid them no heed. Since they had already fallen out, there was no need for further interaction. She then headed for the brigade office. When village chief saw Fu Qingli walk in, he immediately stood up, looking overjoyed. Girl, thank you. We owe Xiangling and the others rescue to you. Fu Qingli hastened to reply. Village chief, there is no need for such gratitude. I only happened to notice Zhao Fujuan acting strangely and reported it to the public security group. It was the comrades of the public security group who actually rescued Xiangling and the others. You ought to give your thanks to them. The village chief shook his head repeatedly. That is not how it is. Without your timely tip, off, even with the public security group, we could not have found them so quickly. Girl, I truly mean my thanks. With that said, the village chief picked up the basket at his feet and held it out to her. Girl, this is a small token of my gratitude. Please do not turn it down. Fu Qingli glanced down. Inside the basket lay cleaned wild pheasants and hares, a chunk of fresh pork belly, 2 tins of fruit cans, and a piece of fine polyester, cotton cloth printed with little red flowers. She knew this was an extremely generous gift for rural standards. She declined right away. Village chief, this gift is far too valuable. I cannot accept it. Please take it back. Seeing her refuse, the village chief grew anxious and kept persuading her. Girl, just take it. It is only a small gesture of thanks. Village chief, I truly cannot accept this. Fu Qingli said seriously. All I did was send word to the public security group. The comrades of the public security group deserve the credit for saving Xiangling and the others. If I take these things, I would be claiming other people's merit as my own. We will go to the public security group to express our thanks in person, the village chief insisted. But without your timely report, the public security group could never have caught the human traffickers so fast. You must accept this. Watching them argue back and forth, the brigade leader also joined in the persuasion. Girl, just accept it. Fu Qingli shook her head. Brigade leader, I really cannot take it. The gratitude should go to the public security group comrades. Seeing how firm Fu Qingli was in refusing the gifts, the brigade leader thought for a moment and made a suggestion. How about this? Tomorrow the brigade will hold a commendation assembly. You will be awarded 50 work points as a reward for saving people. 10 points will come from each of the 4 families whose loved ones you helped rescue, and the remaining 10 will be covered by the brigade. This way, no one in the village can gossip. Would that work for you? Fu Qingli relaxed at this proposal. That will do. The village chief opened his mouth, wanting to keep persuading her, but seeing her relieved expression, he sighed and gave up. Very well. He would look out for this girl more from now on. A week passed in the blink of an eye. Fu Qingli and the brigade leader had just returned from the commune with purchased seeds and hoes when they spotted the postman approaching the brigade office from afar. The brigade leader hurried forward. Comrade, who are you looking for? The postman answered. I am looking for Fu Qingli, the educated youth. I have a letter for her. Fu Qingli stepped forward at once. Hello, comrade. I am Fu Qingli. After verifying her identity, the postman handed her the letter. Fu Qingli tore open the envelope. She saw 5 10-yuan banknotes inside. After reading the letter, she curled her lip in disdain. Grandpa missed her? As if. If Grandpa missed her, he would write to her himself instead of letting Fu Aigua write on his behalf. At the end of the day, they just wanted to call her back for Fu Qingyao and Song Yang's wedding in half a month. Nice try. She crumpled the letter into a ball and tossed it into the nearby stove to burn. Standing beside her, the brigade leader watched in quiet amazement. He had caught a glimpse of several large, denomination banknotes in the envelope. He thought to himself that this young woman really came from a well-off family. Time flowed by quickly. The busy spring, sowing season arrived, and Fu Qingli gradually pushed the family letter out of her mind. In the capital city, half a month slipped by, and Fu Qingyao and Song Yang's wedding day arrived. Yet Fu Qingyao wore a terrible expression the whole day. That vile Fu Qingli had not returned to the city. Seeing Fu Qingyao's gloomy face, the Song family's moods also darkened. What did she mean by this? Was she dissatisfied with the marriage? If she objected, why had she thrown herself at his son in the first place? 3 days after the wedding, a fierce quarrel erupted between Fu Qingyao and Song Yang. Song Yang spoke in disbelief. What are you saying? We have only been married 3 days, and you want to go to the countryside after Fu Qingli? Have you lost your mind? You claim you miss her. Do you even believe those words yourself? Fu Qingyao replied in a low, heavy voice. I have not lost my mind. I must go to the countryside. My older sister was sent there because of me. I want to see how she is getting on. Song Yang let out a cold laugh. You want to check how Fu Qingli is doing? Do you believe that story? Spare me this talk of sisterly affection. If you truly cared for Fu Qingli, you would never have come on to me. Fu Qingyao burned with anger. What are you saying? Who threw herself at you? You yourself once said Fu Qingli was cold and dull, would not even let you hold her hand, and that you admired my innocence and romance. Song Yang's face twisted with scorn. Innocence and romance? You actually took those words seriously. If you had not kept deliberately tripping and twisting your ankle, constantly maneuvering to get close to me, I would never have gotten entangled with you. Fu Qingyao trembled all over. How dare you say that? You brute. Song Yang retorted. You did the deeds, so why cannot I speak of them? Get out. Fu Qingyao shouted furiously and grabbed a teacup from the table, hurling it hard at Song Yang. Song Yang dodged quickly as the cup flew toward him. It skimmed past his forehead, crashed onto the ground and shattered with a clang. You have gone completely mad. You are unreasonable. Song Yang seethed. Ever since getting together with Fu Qingyao, he had endured countless jeers. Everyone said he had rejected a pearl for a worthless stone. His parents were deeply disappointed in him. Thinking of his parents' disappointed looks and tone, resentment welled up inside him with nowhere to go. He slammed the door hard and stormed off. Staring at Song Yang's retreating back, Fu Qingyao wiped tears from her eyes. Once she got the jade pendant back, everything would change. Without further delay, she gathered money and various ration coupons, got an introduction letter from the neighborhood office, and set off for the train station. Over at Kaoshan Brigade, the spring sowing farm work was finally finished. Educated youths and villagers alike were worn out. The brigade leader showed rare generosity and announced 3 days of holiday for everyone. Cheers erupted from the crowd. Amid the noise, the sound of a vehicle approached. Director Zheng from the County Revolutionary Committee arrived at Kaohsiung Brigade by car, accompanied by commune cadres, Lu Lin and Ji Xiangdong. Hearing the vehicle, the crowd fell quiet. Director Zheng stepped out of the car, smiled, and called out, "What celebration is going on here for such merriment?" Recognizing Director Zheng, the brigade leader's heart tightened. He hurried forward. "Director Zheng, what brings you to our brigade?" He glanced nervously toward a commune official he knew, silently appealing for help. Understanding his worry, the commune official stepped forward and clapped him on the shoulder. "Relax. This is good news." The brigade leader's tension eased a little. Director Zheng spoke slowly. "Do not be nervous. We have come especially to find Comrade Fu Qingli from the Educated Youth Point. Most of you may not know this. On her way to the countryside, Comrade Fu helped capture a gang of human traffickers. After arriving at Kaohsiung Brigade, she once again spotted suspicious clues and uncovered another group of suspects. Investigation confirmed these two gangs belonged to the same criminal ring. All members have now been arrested, and this serious case of women trafficking has been solved. Villagers and educated youths broke into an uproar. Every pair of eyes turned toward Fu Qingli. Those educated youths who had long been at odds with her wore dark faces, undisguised jealousy smoldering in their gazes. Lu Lin stood to one side, watching Fu Qingli quietly, a hint of quiet admiration in his eyes. Director Zheng scanned the crowd and asked, "Which one of you is Comrade Fu Qingli?" Fu Qingli stepped forward calmly, her tone steady. "Hello, Director Zheng. I am Fu Qingli." Director Zheng looked at her approvingly and took a step forward. "Comrade Fu, you have done something extraordinary. Even living in the countryside, you stayed alert. You discovered traces of human traffickers twice. With remarkable courage, you provided vital clues, bringing down the entire trafficking ring and saving many victims. Your sense of justice and responsibility deserves everyone's emulation. We have come today to present you with a certificate of merit and rewards. May you keep to your original aspiration, and may everyone in the brigade take you as their example." With those words, Ji Xiangdong took a large red flower and handed it to Director Zheng. As he passed it over, he glanced again at Fu Qingli. He thought how composed and poised she was, far better than his two cousins at home. If only his cousins could be like her. Yet for some reason, the thought of Fu Qingli becoming his cousin displeased him. He scratched his head in confusion. What was wrong with him? Director Zheng took the flower and pinned it onto Fu Qingli's clothing personally. He then picked up the certificate and an envelope holding the reward money and handed them solemnly to her. "Comrade Fu, may you keep shining in the days ahead." Fu Qingli received the certificate and envelope with both hands and replied earnestly, "I will." The commune director started the applause, and warm clapping rang out. The brigade leader was filled with excitement, thinking that their brigade would surely secure the advanced unit quota this year. Standing at the edge of the crowd, Lu Lin watched Fu Qingli, composed amid all the attention, and the corners of his mouth lifted involuntarily. After presenting the awards, Director Zhang and his group of cadres, Lu Lin and Ji Xiangdong, got back into their vehicle and left. Watching the car drive away, the brigade leader finally relaxed. He waved to the crowd. "All right, everyone disperse and go rest." Villagers drifted off. Yet, several people noticed the thick envelope in Fu Qingli's hands. Their eyes shifted, speculating that the bulging envelope must hold quite a lot of money. Fu Qingli returned to the educated youth compound, shut her doors and windows, and entered her spatial dimension. She opened the envelope and counted a large stack of 10 yuan notes, 500 yuan in total. Fu Qingli was astonished by the sum. She looked at the mountains of grain and vegetables stored in her space. She would not have to worry about fresh vegetables for a long time. There was almost too much of them, but fortunately the space kept everything perfectly preserved, vegetables staying exactly as they had been when picked. At that moment, Kaya flew over. "Master, when will you take me out of the space?" Fu Qingli stroked its little head. "In the next few days. The weather has grown warmer, and I will find a chance to bring you outside." Kaya grew overjoyed. "Wonderful, Master. Go play now," Fu Qingli told it. She went up to the 3rd floor, picked up medical texts and an acupuncture bronze figure, and began practicing acupuncture. 2 days passed in this way. Fu Qingli stretched, exited the space, and walked down to the small river. She planned to catch some fish, for Kyre had eaten nearly all the fish in the stream inside her space. She had just reached the riverbank when she sharply sensed someone sneaking along behind her. Fu Qingli raised an eyebrow slightly. She gave no outward sign and pretended to gaze down at the river surface. Bai Tingting followed close behind, viciousness flashing in her eyes. She hated seeing Fu Qingli win praise and the villagers' affection while she and the others were treated like outcasts. Glancing around and seeing no one nearby, she gathered all her strength and lunged hard toward Fu Qingli. From the corner of her eye, Fu Qingli saw her coming and stepped neatly aside. Splash! Unable to check her momentum, Bai Tingting tumbled straight into the river. Spring sowing had only just finished, and the river water was icy cold, dotted with fragments of melting ice. The chill seeped through her clothes into her bones. Her cotton, padded jacket soaked up water and grew heavy, dragging her down. As she flailed about, her calf cramped. Sharp pain swept over her, her limbs lost all strength, and she sank further into the water. Panic swallowed her. Her malicious thoughts vanished completely. She gasped mouthfuls of frigid water and screamed toward the shore in terror. Help! Help me! My leg is cramping. Fu Qingli looked down at her coldly. Save her? Not striking back was already showing mercy. She turned and walked away without another word. Seeing Fu Qingli really leaving, Bai Tingting was overcome with mortal fear. All pride, schemes, and jealousy were forgotten. She begged tearfully. Please, Comrade Fu. Save me. I do not want to die here. Her desperate cries failed to stop Fu Qingli, but drew Erlaizi, who happened to be wandering nearby. Spotting the woman thrashing in the river, Erlaizi did not stop to think. He stripped off his tattered cotton jacket and jumped into the freezing water. As he wrapped his arms around Bai Tingting, a thought crossed his mind. At last, I have got myself a wife. Not far away, Fu Qingli, who had not gone far, witnessed the whole scene. A faint smile tugged at her lips. Truly fate works in mysterious ways. Without her lifting a finger, the two had become tangled with each other. Good and evil each receive their due, one need only wait for the right time. Erlaizi struggled to drag Bai Tingting onto the bank, wrapped his jacket around her, lifted her in his arms and hurried toward the village, shouting loudly along the way. Make way, everyone. Educated youth Bai has fallen in the river. Villagers who saw Bai Tingting carried in Erlaizi's arms stared in shock and started whispering among themselves. Some joked. Well, Erlaizi, looks like you have got yourself a wife in no time. Erlaizi just grinned at the teasing. He was already plotting how to make the situation permanent so this wife would not slip away. Bai Tingting shivered violently, her teeth chattering, too numb to speak. She could do nothing but be carried toward Erlaizi's home. Despair washed over her. She knew her reputation was ruined. Then her vision swam, and she fainted. When she regained consciousness, she found herself lying on Erlaizi's earthen Kong bed. Erlaizi sat beside her, staring at her with a foolish grin. Their eyes met, and overwhelming terror washed over Bai Tingting. Her eyes rolled back, and she fainted once more. Word quickly reached the brigade leader. He rushed over to Erlaizi's house, but the damage to Bai Tingting's reputation had already been done. The brigade leader flew into a rage and shouted, Erlaizi, do you realize what terrible trouble you have caused? Erlaizi remained completely unperturbed. I know full well. Comrade Bai is my woman now. I jumped into the freezing river and risked my life to save her. After being in such close contact with me, who else could she possibly marry? The brigade leader pointed at him, too furious for words. You! At that moment Bai Tingting woke again. Her whole body ached. Recalling everything that had happened before she passed out, she understood her predicament and burst into bitter weeping. Erlaizi tried to pull her into his arms to soothe her. Do not cry, wife. I will treat you well from now on. At his touch, Bai Tingting flew into a rage and slapped him hard across the face. Let go of me. I am not your wife. I am going to report you. Erlaizi took the slap without anger and drawled. Wife, do not say such things. You slipped and fell into the river. I risked my life to pull you out, and out of gratitude you chose to be with me. Many villagers saw me carrying you home. Bai Tingting was stunned by his shameless twisting of facts. Dizzy with fury, she blacked out and fainted again. Erlaizi sighed. My wife has such a weak constitution. I will have to get more food to nourish her properly. He turned to the livid brigade leader and smiled. We are in love with each other. In a few days I will set up tables and invite everyone for our wedding feast. Furious at his brazen attitude, the brigade leader flicked his sleeve and stormed away with the others. When the other educated, youth compound residents heard what had happened to Bai Tingting, they felt sympathy for her. Su Hui looked toward the compound's backyard, deep in thought. She clearly remembered that Bai Tingting had followed Fu Qingli when she went out that day. Fu Qingli had returned unharmed, yet Bai Tingting had suffered such misfortune. She could not bring herself to believe Fu Qingli had nothing to do with it. Su Hui steeled herself, determined to ask Fu Qingli directly whether she was involved in Bai Tingting's ordeal. She hurried to the backyard and knocked on Fu Qingli's door. Inside the room, Fu Qingli exited her spatial dimension and opened the door to see Su Hui standing outside. "Comrade Su, what is it?" Su Hui bit her lower lip and spoke straight to the point. "Did you have something to do with what happened to Bai Tingting?" Fu Qingli raised an eyebrow slightly. "What do you mean by that?" "I saw Bai Tingting follow you out of the compound today." Fu Qingli's expression stayed calm. "And?" Su Hui stared at her unruffled face in disbelief. Fu Qingli looked straight at her. "What exactly are you accusing me of?" Su Hui took a deep breath. "Did you push Bai Tingting into the river? Where is your evidence?" Su Hui pressed her lips together and fell silent for a moment. "Forget it. I spoke out of turn." She turned to leave. "Wait." Fu Qingli spoke to her retreating back. "Next time you want to stand up for someone, bring evidence first. Groundless suspicion amounts to slander." Her tone turned colder. "Besides, since you saw Bai Tingting follow me out, why did you not step in to stop her? If I had been the one who came to harm today, would you then go question Bai Tingting? Or were you secretly hoping something bad would happen to me?"